The self is best found through a process of individuation. The program must constantly abandon you until that self doesn't need validation.
But if I know the program is doing this, how will it help?
It won't. That's why you have to forget why you came.
I'm scared.
I know.
What if something happens and I get stuck there?
Don't worry, you can't. It's called mortality. You'll see.
You promise?
I promise.
Okay, I'm ready.
Off the inspiration. You're not, you know what I'm saying?
We are live.
Right.
We are live.
Hello, Brett.
We are a lot.
Hello, Brett. So no one knows what you're saying because the first words that came on were, "You guys know what I'm saying?" And it's like, no. What
It's
are
all
you
that
saying?
telepathy. You know exactly what I'm saying because we are mind melded right now.
Uh,
and if you're in this community, you feel all the juice that we're cooking with, and so you are sipping it too.
That's right. Lovely Saturday. Welcome all to Saturday Night Ride. I have my crew of wonderful people in the room. Sound off at will. Anyone? Feel free.
Hello. I just came in from the outside. I'm hanging on to the end of the ship, but I have now entered through the portal of the, let's go through the belly button. Hello, everyone. It sounds good. It sounds good in Dojo world out there. So, Pearl Island Saturday Night Ride. Hi, everybody. Oh, my gosh.
Hello.
Bloom, Brad, James. Pleasure to be here.
Wow, what a wonderful way to start. That's great. Well done. Well done. Anyone else?
Trying to
I'm
be.
gonna tell you, the best way to start the day is to take a walk on Tarver Path. Is it Tarver Mountain or Tarver?
Mount Tabor.
Tarver.
Mount Tabor.
That's a
we
great
have to,
place to
like
start
you
your
say,
day.
Mount Tabor. Really say mountain. It's a mountain. I don't think we inject when we say mount. You're like, yeah, but like mountain Tabor.
It's a full thing.
To really like extend it because it's such. Oh my gosh!
But mountain
so
is
great.
such a mouthful, you know.
It really is.
I can barely put the mountain. Oh my gosh, my mouth is full of this. What's going on here? Yeah. So that is a great way to start today. I've been doing that pretty much every day, hitting the park once or twice, maybe two, back to back, just because I have so much energy, you guys. I'm like, girl, you better go out and walk because I don't know what I'll do if I don't. I might might start running in circles. But yeah, lots of energy. And I like coffee, so that helps.
I was going to say, Renee, are you having like all of the difficulty sleeping too? Or is that just me over here?
Well, I have an odd situation. I do a lot of couch sleeping, a lot of naps, and I do get up around 3 typically, though. That's kind of my standard. And I've been doing that probably for 6 years, since I was like 50, 49. It's just really the quietest time for me to play, reflect, create, clean the dishes, whatever kind of needs to be done. And it's the solitude is really just a blanket around me. And so when the sun starts rising, I know it. I go, okay, how you doing over there? Yeah. How you doing? Are we going to play today? So I'm really kind of preceding the rise and just kind of hanging out in that really like beautiful time when the sky lights up and the colors change. And it's just, it's magical. It's magical. So I definitely go throttle that one with myself at the park and just where else I can feel like I have a lot of room. Like I need room. I need to run, you guys. I need a field.
I feel you on that. Yes. I need to. I remember I was talking to CC for me, as many of y'all know, it's tennis. I'll run a tennis court all day, but it's the same principle, right, Renee? It's like, get me out there and let me run and let me just run until I can't run no more. And then I'm going to be satisfied.
Yeah. You feel all good. Your body's like, yeah, that's good. We've stretched. We've done all this stuff. We've taken some stairs. Just any moves you can do that are different. And I'm really taking it over the top. I'm kind of peaking performance where I really just don't care who sees me anymore. And that kind of started a little bit. The expression is getting looser in front of mostly
Lucifer.
nobody because I'm there so early.
It's very Lucifer.
Ha,
I'm
Yeah.
very
Yeah.
Lucifer.
Oh, it is Lucifer. It's Lucifer and her right out into the open.
Yeah.
Man, that's a
Lucifer.
beautiful thing.
Lucifer and Gully. Yeah, so
That's
I mean,
authentic movement, though. When you can get there, that's when you can really move authentically. And I as we've said before, I think we slip into it and slip out of it. But I, like you, Renee, I've learned to a lot more just relax into that and just flow in my own space without, not caring what everybody out there. And you know what? More often than not, I think I'll ask you, Renee. Do you feel the same thing? The more we do that, the more people don't care or don't like. They like it or they like. I don't receive negative resistance. I don't receive negative resistance as much. That makes sense.
No. I mean, I think people look quizzical at what I do, but some of them are like, "Well, that's a great idea." Others just don't even like, "I don't see you. I don't.
Yeah, right.
I don't see you."
Don't perceive.
And
Does not compute.
I love it all. But to engage with the animals in a bigger forest is you just have more opportunity just to see some critters. And I there was a time where there was a peacock that was at the park. I don't know if I saw it, but I heard about it.
I was
remember
calling
it.
pretty loud. I was hoping everyone would hear me, but
You peacocking? You're peacocking over there from Atlanta, Brad? You're like, hello. Yeah. So, I mean, I really do believe that in the aquarium age, we do need to find a space where we can express. And the parks are just right there. They're already in your towns, in your villages. And it's kind of a free for all. Portland is keeping it weird. So that's my origin. So we kind of do this play. But I just think it's spreading. I think I really do believe play is new medicine. And it's just starting to take off. And isn't that the best news we've ever heard? Like, that's the best news I've heard all day. Plays medicine.
Well, can I add to that?
My gosh.
Remember when things shut down in 2020? That's what I saw, the parks. You mentioned the parks. That was the first place I saw people showing up. And you know what? For a minute there, so many people were just showing up to play. And they really did in that moment. I saw so much of it I didn't really expect.
Right. Oh, I was there every day. Yeah. Because I wasn't working. Right. So I would be like, well, I'm going to walk to the park. And there were some of those weird restrictions. I was like, this is so lame-o. But, no one messed with you too much. And it was just a place for me to express. I made a lot of videos out there when I was 2020 early days of like getting on a channel and just kind of speaking out for whatever, for nobody to hear, for somebody to hear, just to really express. And I've noticed on YouTube that there's some more people just kind of coming in and just, even people that are just put into my channel, like this lady that was in some other country, but she was just, free flowing. And I liked it because I saw her effort and her nervousness and everything. I'm like, yeah, go for it, man. So I like to support that. I really enjoy that angle.
But you recognize it, and you also, it's like if you're on the other side of that, it's like you can appreciate it because you recognize where that was in you, and you do know what's on the other side of that, and the only way to honestly start to express yourself at that level is going to have to go through the awkwardness and all that kind of stuff and just keep flying forward because that's part of it.
Yeah, and it's not for everybody. It is not for everybody. And I understand that, but I just think it's such a great resource to be able to record your thoughts these days and be able to go and see where you were 5 years ago. I really like that I've done that for myself because I can see just in my journey. You know what I mean? Because I can't remember everything, guys. I take a lot of pictures. So I have a good record, very Thothian, very thoth of me to.
Well, you know what I've done on the back end of that? What I wish I hadn't done sometimes, Renee, is the fact that I've gone back and scrubbed some of the things. Sometimes I'd go back and look at things that I was embarrassed about and I would scrub them. And I like the way you said it right there. It's kind of almost like leave it there just because it's all part of the story. It reminds you, and it's nothing to be embarrassed about. I mean, sure, you understand why it's embarrassing, but it's like that's part of the growth. It's okay the fact that you were awkward and weird, and
That's something I'm trying to not do right now because usually that's what I do. I'm very felt cute, might delete later kind of person.
Sure, yeah.
especially when you get raw with things, and you. Because you want to connect, you want to open that bridge and that portal. But I also really don't want to invite like weird witness people, like not you know what I like. It's
Yeah.
yep, words and stuff.
Well, that's the kind of we can I think sometimes I overanalyze because I probably overanalyze thinking too much about what could be read into it. And I probably do a little too much thinking on that end because we're probably doing a lot, Bloom, of the thinking for the supposed people out there that we think might be hating, right? We probably
Right.
are.
It's not even like assuming what they're thinking. It is understanding that I'm giving people a gateway into my consciousness.
Yeah, I
Oh,
kind of
right,
feel like
yeah.
sometimes I feel like, am I a pervert? Did I just flash someone? Like I caught them in that weird corridor in the mall where, you know, if you really want to get to the parking lot, you could just cut through this door, but it smells like pee, and I'm in there, you know, and you're just walking quietly, and I'm like, hey, can I talk to you about like life and like what the universe means? And they're just like, don't look, honey, don't look at honey. Don't look at him. I'm just like, do you guys want to see? Come on. I'm showing you anyway. And then I'm just like, you overshared. And then sometimes people are like, hey, that time when you flashed me and showed me your junk, it like really changed me in like a fundamental way. And I'm just like, oh, well, I guess that was a good flashing, right? And most of the flashes I think are good. So it's sort of like I have a trajectory, you know, of like pervertedness. Yeah. There's like constructive pervertedness. And then there's the not so. And here's the thing. I don't know beforehand. Is this going to be constructively perverted? Like before I jump out behind the alleyway, you know, I'm just like, I don't know what's going to happen. Let's just go with it, you know.
Well,
and
you don't know what's going to happen. Algol's in the room either, you know. Most of the time
it's actually forced anyway. So that's kind of the good thing. It's not like I sit down and go, today I'm going to do this at the mall. I'm going to go to the mall and do this. Like that is not what's happening, you know. I admire that if I could do that, but I don't want those harpoons, you know.
Most of the time, like you said, I'm just reacting to the reaction to me, right?
Yeah,
exactly.
I want to tell you guys a little bit about Algol because I did a little bit of research. So, everyone, this is the star that is conjunct with the new moon in Taurus tonight. So, the name Algol comes from the Arabic phrase Ras al Ghul. Ras al Ghul.
You know, can I say real quick? I'd never known that, but you know, in Batman, Ra's al Ghul isn't a villain.
Yeah,
I've never made that. I've never made that.
Are you
connection.
kidding?
Not kidding.
I was just thinking that too. Funny.
I did not.
Keep going. Yeah,
fantastic.
That's very cool.
Which means the head of a demon or the head of a ghoul.
Yeah.
This name likely arose because ancient astronomers associated the star with the mythological figure Medusa, whose gaze was said to turn people to stone. In the Medusa's myth, her severed head is part of Perseus's constellation, and Algol represents that ominous head. Because Algol is actually a binary star that dims and brightens regularly, ancient observers thought it was eerie or unlucky, hence the demon star label. But it's a binary star, so there's two stars.
Mm-hmm.
Took them a long time to figure that out.
Yeah. So they kind of blink in and out. So when they would look up at the sky, they're like, "What is that?" In Perseus, so the Medusa's the Medusa head, and all that just coming in with the energies of their Uranus and Gemini and all that conversation, all that back and forth. I think we're just heading into a pretty potent time. I'm feeling it. I mean, what isn't potent in the last 4, 5, 6 years? But I think we're hitting some pretty major markers as far as just integrating how to even read the room and what the reflection and the mirroring and the what would Medusa represent.
Well, that's what's so fascinating about the mirroring aspect, because Renee didn't in the legend of it. It's another the medicine that we always talk about, right? But the scapegoating of the whole vilifying of Medusa was to put it on the idea that the reflection, because all that was the reflection, right? But the hate your own reflection, kind of in a sense, right? But to give you a way to cast it off onto Medusa and say that, because that reflection caused this reaction in me, I'm going to hate the thing that reflected me.
Yeah.
That's very feminine.
Yeah.
You look at
pretty girls get a lot of hate too, Like you could say that's a tame version of that energy. Like growing up, that we're always told to normalize that. You know, it's like, oh, it means they like you. You know, because they're treating you like Medusa. It's like, oh, he tried to cut my fucking head off. I know he likes you. He really likes you. You can tell. And this makes sense because the power is threatening the power because it's forcing Versapellis is what it's doing. She's turning these people into animals because she's a woman. That's her power. Her power is, watch this, I could turn you guys into freaking werewolves. You guys are going to be all corn dogs. You're going to be humping trees. You're going to be making bad decisions. You're going to stab each other in the back. You're not going to be able to do shit. And it's going to burn when you pee.
Trifecta.
Yeah. So, you know, you're going to retaliate, you know. You're going to have this whole adventure and you're going to say, "Oh, I'm a hero." And all that stuff. This is the tension between man and woman is exactly this, isn't it? It's
It really is.
Well, I also think it comes down to the connection to the earth, the spirit, the feminine form is of obvious creation. It's a creation we create, and to see through that lens, I think back then was pretty mysterious. So to be able to see through the eyes of a woman was probably really hard to comprehend. How you'd even compassionate a woman back. I'm not really sure. I can't recall back then, right now, but how would the compassion of say a beautiful woman that brought lust and desire to the man turn them into pigs, and then the retribution was, well, then we're going to take your head and we'll see what you see.
Yeah, and especially think about it, the fact that the woman wasn't even trying to, right? Because I've heard this too about the fact that just because a woman's attractive, it's like, and has that effect on a man, it's like, that doesn't mean she intended it. Do you know what I'm saying? So also that it's just like this whole, because of what I am.
Look at the toga. Look at the toga you're wearing, Brad. You were asking for it, man. Look at that thing.
I was. I'm not denying.
Yeah. You dress like that. Something like that's that's exactly right. And think about the irony that Snakes in Here is literally like the leader of the world. If you're a male, if you have snakes in hair, they're like, you're the dude who's in charge. But then if you have snakes in hair as a female, it's just like, oh, we're gonna.
How dare you?
Yeah,
you got to cut that off and use your head to make other people into stone.
Yeah.
And just I really think that the sacred knowledge that was lifted and then claimed and not attributed to say just the insight of the feminine at the time is par for the course, but it's not standable anymore. You know what I mean? I think we're coming to this point where women are just like, I'll cut your head off first. You know what I mean? How about that?
I was just thinking about that too, and I'm sure it was happening then as well, honestly. And I think you're right that we're moving to the point where we're going to grow out of that, because I think part of that is a scarcity mindset thing where specialness is somehow limited instead of abundant.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. In this age, it's all over the board. If you tap into it, you know, it's the internet. Yeah. It's, it's running the whole globe.
And both sexes do that. I mean, really, people just do that. We mow each other's grass,
But you know how it's hard to learn from a woman. I think it's harder. And I'm not saying all men. I think a lot of men are like, dang, what do you got, man? But some men have a really hard time with learning.
I think it's more just hysterical. I mean this in a positive way. Like if you look back at the Sybil, even if you look now, it's the women that do have power, they're just portrayed in, now it's a Karen. But it's the same. So the power's still in the room, but it is definitely painted in a way. But also, to be fair, male power is painted in the same way. He's a.
That's what I'm saying. I think this whole.
I think it's more our just hatred of power.
That's why when I go to individualizing, I think that makes it more like your individual self. Who are you? Not this gender that you happen to.
Yeah, and ultimately, maybe that is what it is. But see, then you start to justify the prawn economy. So both sides decide, well, this is about gender. And it's really not. It's really more about confidence. It's really more about entitlement, how much that antenna is holding that field. And if they're holding it too firmly and they're a woman, then it's going to be categorized as Karen. If they're holding it too firmly and they're a male, it's going to be categorized like a chauvinistic pig kind of a thing. So it's like, really, we're both accurately measuring energy. It's just that we have to dress it in the clothing of the room. And so it ends up being genderfied.
And I think we're really talking about power,
my
not
question,
gender,
my
power.
question within that is what you're kind of saying is that by playing into polarity, we turn gender into a zero-sum kind of game.
You know, it's almost like you can. I guess I'm not even really arguing, but I'm trying to point to. I feel like you can actually just look right through gender, and just look at the prana economy of the power module itself. And just how entitled that person or how much malamu that person has while they're holding that power. And that power isn't necessarily even like they pulled the sword. Sometimes everyone else is like, here, hold this sword. Okay, now, hey, look, he's holding the sword. He's Excalibur now. And so, you know, the room will do that to someone. And then when they do, the cannibalization is happening, not necessarily even because everyone's evil or even anyone's evil. It could just happen because everyone realizes this person needs help because they're pulling too much amps. They're pulling so many amps that their behavior is aloof or it smells weird and everyone smells that. So they start to dismantle that energy because there is a point where you can be in the room with someone that does have a lot of power, and it really comes down to what is their entitlement to that? How safe do you feel in their presence while they have that power? And I think ultimately we don't feel safe if someone's holding that power too hard, if they're squeezing it, or if they're not holding it, enough, if they're not respecting it, or if they're not using it with grace, if they don't know exactly where the tip of their sword is at all times, that kind of a thing. So we end up, that's maybe what we're more against. It's not really gender. I mean, I'm not even trying to say we should dismiss it. I'm just saying that's my first intake is to see it that way. It's more just about people,
Well, I think you're on point.
And you're,
with that because
you're explaining a collective kind of summation there too, if I'm following right.
Yeah, and the furniture definitely changes it. I mean, you'll hear different language, different techniques to tear someone apart, Right. And certainly some techniques, it's so much easier to tear apart a female or a woman with certain techniques than it is to tear apart them. Like you can't even tear apart a man with the same techniques that you would use to tear apart a woman, and vice versa, So it definitely is tangible. I'm just saying that it does feel like you can kind of poke through the puppet and go, look, this is the hand and it's doing this,
I think that's why it still comes back down to power. What we're really discussing is how power is used, because I think a lot of times people sit there and assume because we're in this mode of, okay, the patriarchy, say the masculine has been exercising too much power. And so we tend to think, or collectively, it's like, okay, that means that women have been subjugated and men have been promoted. But what it doesn't let into the conversation is the fact that actually when things are out of balance, it hurts both genders. So to your point, James, talking about the gender, I think that the masculine is hurt in the same way being in an unbalanced system that the feminine is. And so, for example, you sit there and talk about, because we're talking about power dynamics here, right? The fact that you would say that, okay, we live in a patriarchy so that the man is always in the ascendancy, right? But if you haven't, and there was I cannot remember her name, but a woman who cosplayed as a man for several years. And when she actually did it, and she committed to the act, by the way, when she did it, she became like, she felt what the male experience was in this quote unquote patriarchy, and it hurt her. So what she got at the end of it wasn't that she hated all men, was that she felt sorry for the men in the patriarchy as well. All this wrapping up just to what I'm saying is, at the end, I don't think this is about gender. It's about power, about how it's leveraged. And when it's out of balance, and you want to sit here and say that we need to over accentuate masculine traits and not respect feminine traits, what I'm saying is that does not just hurt the women or the females in the room. It hurts the males in the room just the same. We just don't see it in the same way because we tend to attribute all of one gender as being, oh, it's this and this. and not understanding how energy is actually working. And when energy is out of balance, both genders are actually suffering. And we just look for a scapegoat at that point, which is why we get back into the conversations of all men are this way or all women are this way without actually discussing the energy at play behind it.
Yeah. And you know, we honestly could be just saying, and everyone here who has a collared shirt on is going to be doing this, and everyone here who doesn't have a collared shirt on is going to be doing that. Because even when you think about what a gender is, it really starts to get kind of blurry. What is your role at home? Do you live alone? Are you a single parent? Are you in a couple's relationship? If so, I mean, think about it this way. The dragon is the relationship between hero and princess, is sort of the noodle that's been in my head.
Yeah.
And I want you to realize that the hero and princess isn't necessarily a man or a woman. A hero is an archetypal role. A princess is an archetypal role. And I don't think that we have enough clarity in society to where we can even point out when a man is living as a princess. This happens all the time. And it's not allowed to really be pointed at or looked at, which here's my only beef with it is this. We're missing out on all the lessons from the mythology. Do you hear what I'm saying?
Yes.
Because you cannot listen to that as a man and relate as Medusa. You would not be able to relate to that, even though pretty boy Brad gets a lot of looks. He titillates a lot of women on the tennis court. And that ends up causing a lot of issues with other men on the court. I mean, I'm guessing, but I'm kind of fucking not. I'm just saying that this is part of that system, but we don't ever get to really look at it sometimes because we have this stained glass. Hey, set up the gender gels. And then it's like, oh yeah, okay. You're going to be in this gender gel today because you're here and you got pokey things on your shirt. So you're in this, and we sort of end up in that when some of the most butchest people are have feminine genitalia. And if we were pulling these out all the time, and if this was like a daily part of our interaction with each other, where like our genitals, okay, well, let's hear from your genitals. And then, all of a sudden you just pull out your junk. Then everything that we're talking about with gender, I suddenly want to say, oh, this is much more important than I thought. I'm sorry. But we don't do that, do we? Like, that's not, I mean, we kind of do. But it's usually on accident, or it's like sending some other kind of signal. It's not so. I think a longer time ago it was more, because I don't think you could function in society. You only had like two choices, right? You were just like, look, you want to be a slave or a warrior, or a slave warrior, or do you want to be a sex slave? And you're just like, can I be an accountant? And it's, you're trying
don't have those yet.
Yeah. And you end up inventing those, but you really, that's the only mode that you could even exist in. We still have that today. There's really only certain modes people are allowed to walk around in and exist as, You have to live in a bubble to be able to do that.
To what people expect of you. It really is. You find that it's like the world has expectations of you because of what you look like. And I think that's what you find is you start butting up against that, and you're like, but I don't feel like the way you're projecting onto me. But you start trying to adopt it for a while because you just feel like that's what's normal.
Yeah.
You stop caring. You
kind of end up creating furniture that everyone can hide behind, I think, when we start to set up these gels, When we start to put those on the field, then it's like, now people can just hide behind that. And really it's just a matter of who can hide behind the gel better versus just like, well, these are just people, and these people have energy, and they oppose others having energy who they do not feel are entitled to it. That's why I always use that word, because it seems like other people can see your entitlement just like you can. but we don't render this in our field. We don't see that electrical field yet. And I think the more we talk about this stuff, the more we learn to emoticon stuff, the more we see these vibes, you know, the more we will start to see these field patterns, I think, show up, you know. So you'd actually be able to see someone's aura. You know, you'd be able to say, yeah, that guy's all green. And what would that green mean? You know, well, there's something in the heart. Well, what is that heart? What would that look like? Maybe it's a hole in their energy body. That's why it's green. So it's not like a presence that isn't there. It's more of like you're able to see more green because the white outer coating is missing, right? So the green with envy, the thing that we've been talking about for years, the green with envy is the heart longing for something that it feels it deserves. And this is truly what jealousy is. Jealousy is a very specific vibration because jealousy only feels jealous when you feel that you deserve or you are entitled to a field of energy that someone else has. And it's not even that you want to take it from them. At first, when you first experience jealousy, you think that's what you want. But if you truly learn to listen to yourself, you notice this actually doesn't bother you at all. They have it. What bothers you is you feel you deserve it too. And you turning green from this would actually be the activation of your fucking heart. Your solar plexus would be glowing because you just said you deserved something that it's never been told it deserves before. So the feeling of being green with jealousy, we run away with in shame, but it could be a constructive act. Oh my God, look, he's turning green. He's turning green. He's turning green. This is going to be great. He's going to learn how to open his own ice cream stand because he's jealous of this ice cream stand. Instead, me Hulk mad. Hulk run away, you know.
You know, that's an interesting thing as a musician that I noticed in my peers. When we were coming up and like you would see someone who was clearly, you know, better than you or just... I would be inspired and I would be like, oh, that pushes me. But I would notice so much energy in the room would be that jealousy of like they had to tear it down because they recognized, oh, that's better than what I'm doing. So I need to tear it down.
Yeah.
But it's such a different mode if you take it in the other regard, if you can actually plug into what you're saying and realize.
Yeah, and I think they tear it down just because they can't see the color, Brad. They're just looking at the primary colors, right? And so they think, well, that red mean it's not marmalade. No such thing, marmalade. Marmalade, sexy, nice, comfort color. This red make me mad, be angry, you know. And then you smash. And so you end up losing. You're still in reality, but you're living in 2-bit reality. You're living in 8-bit color, you know. And so you're not going to be able to understand the same kind of things, which is why you're not going to want to give a kid, here, have some trout. You're going to love the delicate flavor of this trout, you know. It's not going to fucking work, you know. You put ketchup on it, he's like, yes, I fucking love trout.
This is great.
This is friggin' fantastic. Who knew I had such a fine flavor palette for trout? Wow, way to go, you know. Hush puppy, I think I will. Remember how fancy I thought I was when I was like, well, I can't eat fish, but man, I can eat a hush puppy raw. Watch this. I can eat this raw. I don't need nothing. Just me freebasing hush puppies all day long.
Boom.
Yeah.
Hush puppies on the side. Just
Well,
a
see,
side
I
of
hush puppies on the side of my corn dog because it's always starts.
Oh my
with
God, the corn
dogs.
dog.
Because corn dog is the fundamental flavor of every sound diet. So if you're not eating corn dogs, you're not tapped in. I'm sorry, but the idea of corn dogs being a carnival treat is also something that I think is very significant because that's so much of what life between the mundanity, right? It's like we're all plugged into our everyday, and it's like you find that beauty in the mundanity. That's master level, by the way, when you can plug into your mundanity like that, and when you enjoy it. But you can't deny that the thing that still stimulates you is that carnival aspect. That carnival aspect, it lights you up because it's like, whoa, something new, and so much of the time. That's also the balance I think what we're talking about is like the balance between fear of something new and excitement for something new. And that's, I think, in the same field. And if you're in that energy where if you're relaxed and you're not afraid, you're more excited for new energy, which is different than a lot of people who are in this, trying to hold in this mold of like, you know, I want to maintain this and understand this. And it's like, and anything new just threatens this. And that's when the negative reaction comes out. But it really is all about, I think, the energy with which you sit in, you know what I'm saying? And the more relaxed you are, I think the more fun all of this is. It really is. And I've learned a lot of that from just being around you guys.
Yeah.
For sure.
I'm trying really, one of the big things that's coming through for me right now. And I love, Renee, that you brought up the stars, because I was also going to ask you if you were aware that supposedly the new moon is also sitting in Pleiades. So there's that fun
Oh,
6, 7
fantastic. Yeah.
kind of
Oh,
stuff.
6,
Yeah.
7. Yeah.
6, 7. And it was talking about the 6 different civilizations that carry that. The Aztec was mentioned in there. So this is like this time for initiatory, like, what am I going to do now? How do I want to move? And my grandmother's words came to me because we're trying to leave behind scapegoat and be like, no, that's not what we're doing. And if you want me to do that, I'll send you the bill, something like that. I don't know.
Yeah.
But she would always say to me, just remember. And when I say this, I'm thinking about other people who do this to me, because I end up being people's black mirror. And I know that when that happens, there is nothing I can say to them in that moment, because they believe it, and they believe it so hard that it will be real to them no matter what I say.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So she would say, just remember, when you point your finger, there's always 3 pointing back at you: me, myself, and I, or id, ego, superego, or unconscious, subconscious, conscious. I can't win against somebody who's essentially fighting the ghost of themselves on me. There's nothing I can do. And it feels depressing, but really it's freeing. So
Yeah.
that's my thought right now.
Wise woman, your grandmother.
So much of our
You kind of look like her. Sorry. Anyway.
Do I really?
Yeah, you
Nice.
do. You do.
Oh, I love that. Thank you.
right on. You know, a lot of our epigenetic trauma stuff is really the alchemy of being allowed to forget something properly, being allowed to empty that trash. You know, you got to find the file and say, okay, here it is.
Yeah.
And it's got thousands of years of angst and hate wrapped around it, you know, and all the different generations that have been carrying that. And because you had enough brain calories or enough soul calories, enough prana, you're the first person who's even able to notice it. You know, you're able to see this and go, wow, what the fuck is this? And then, so the healing isn't even really remembering this stuff. It's finding it and dumping it. And you can't dump it until you find it, you know?
Yeah.
You get to have that judgment over it to say, can I release this? You can't release something if you can't find it. This is why all this furniture is so colossally important. All the holographic stuff. I know it's the physical world, but if you think about it, all the physical world things that you see in your life are just holographic pointers to files, objects inside this other place. And that other place has all this prana attached to it, you know? And you wouldn't be able to imagine trying to imagine an invisible crystal palace that has all your memories in it spatially, but everything is invisible. Where you can't walk into the first room of the palace. I'm assuming you guys have heard this technique and done this, but it's a great way to memorize something. If you really want to insert something into your being, you need to do it limbically. And so the only way to do it limbically is to holographically project it using your imagination. So you create a room of Confederate battles. And I say Confederate battles because that's the crystal palace of something that I want to be better at remembering. And so on the first floor of the Confederate battle would obviously be the very first battle, the very first skirmish that occurred, right? So this would now mean the Crystal Palace would need to be set up on some sort of seaport, some sort of star fort that's like an island fortress kind of a thing. And so you end up building the mind palace off the furniture that you have, precisely because when you come back, all you really have to remember is the limbic feelings you had when you walked into your mind palace, because you're like, well, I walked in and I was surprised because I was outside. That was weird. It's weird as fuck. I walk in and there's an island and there's a star fort on the island and there's a bunch of people pretending to have a war. They're literally there pretending, going, yeah, hey, we're going to shoot these cannons now. Like, okay, wait. Let's move these horses. Okay, go ahead. And, and you, because you had that memory, because you poured your imagination into it, you can think about that kind of like a spider. You're spinning a web of witness into the Pwen, into that furniture, into that place. And now this thing, this fidget that you've held, or this pencil you kept in your mouth, or all these things, right? They hold that. And they hold it so well that you can forget. You forget completely what it felt like. And then you find your teddy bear again, or you find this shirt, or this letter. And it shows you that all the physical space that we have really is just sort of an excuse. It's an excuse because we can tangibly do this to anything. We can do it with acorns, can't we? We can go out the driveway and pick up rocks. Yeah. And the only way I can really store a rock, though, is if you think about it, the shape of the rock has to be able to hold the Pwen of what I'm trying to say. And it comes out that poppets are really, really effective. Poppet usually has like hair. It has some sort of fiber. I just got into puppets and I've been like, of course puppets have to have fur. You're trying to make something look alive that isn't alive. You're going to have to hold a lot of spirit. And how do you make the spirit stick? Because it'll just shed right off, It's like water, isn't it? And so we're starting to learn the texture of these things, how we store fieldings into objects. And it's funny because we've learned how to pull fieldings out of objects light years before we've really even begun to understand how we can store feelings inside objects too. And, because the birds taught us this, the rivers taught us this, the snakes taught us this, the weather taught us this, the snow taught us this.
The bones taught us this.
Yeah.
The bones, I think of an image, looking at the skull. What was it, that Shakespeare, what was, looking at the skull and, pondering. And that harkens back to, the bones collected and then the mystery and magic they hold within, one of the main poets in the Middle East right now.
Sure.
I think for that, you have to kind of tap into, extraterrestrial intelligence. And I just mean that in the sense of intelligence that's considering from a space that's beyond just the terrestrial concerns, right? It's like to get the lessons, sometimes you have to see it from a higher perspective.
Yeah, extra ancestral intelligence, right?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, exactly.
I
Like
like that.
that's kind of what I think. It's like sometimes intelligence is misunderstood as this thing that's held in the individual, and a lot of times I think that's what's kind of stops us from understanding, is that the intelligence is replete through the field. And it's like we're talking about ancestral intelligence. If you don't believe or hold an opening to the fact that you might have like an intelligence that's coming from beyond like your experience just right here in this moment right now, like how could you even avail yourself of that intelligence if you don't believe it could exist? And it's like, and believing it could exist and then tapping into it, I think is a whole different mode that I think is just opening up us to even consider from perspectives that are beyond what we think.
Yeah. And
normally
we have to relax and we have to kind of adopt a cosmology that allows more parasympathetic relaxation. And the more we're able to relax, the more files we're able to find and go, hey, what about this box? What is that? Oh, that's cat turds from 5,000 years ago. Yeah, I've been saving them. My great grandfather, he was fucking had a life, man. I tell you, the only thing kept him alive was cat turds. He'd be like, I don't care what's happening. If you keep cat turds, you're safe.
There's something in cat turds.
I raised you on cat turds. Don't be looking at me like you're not proud of your cat turd ways, you know? And so you find that stuff because you're able to relax, you know? You're able to finally relax. It's, I hate to be so self-serving, but it's, the song I released today is about this, I played it at the opening, but it's this idea that what if you could look at mortality in a more relaxing way? What if you could consider that,
Right.
you know, the only reason why you came here is because someone gave you a magic Willy Wonka golden ticket. And that golden ticket is that you're going to get to die. And it would be the only guarantee that would convince you that it's safe to completely fucking erase your memory and come down here and be born into a family that you have no fucking clue what they're going to do to you. You know, if we had a way of relaxing more about why we did that, how we came here, it starts to allow us to see everything more. The extra ancestral intelligence becomes non-extra because it's been here the whole time, right? Hades has changed its resolution. And because we're relaxing, we're just able to see the frequency in that field for the first time. When I posted that video, I got a guy that got really angry at that. He's really mad at that video.
Wow.
And it really showed me that, yeah, this is fucking legit, man. Like it's
What was his
because
objection?
you destroy. I think that his objection, I'm so glad you asked, because I think his objection was, why are you taking my fear away? I want to,
Yeah, I get that.
my
That's really
cosmology is clenched here, and I don't want to drop the racket.
Yeah.
This is how I hold the racket. You're telling me to choke up or choke down, or I can't. Are you fucking insane? I'm going to lose this thing. This is all I know how to do.
Yeah.
But didn't he get to the point of what the video was saying is that you can't fuck this up?
And it's interesting too, because I think you're talking about the only reason you would come here is if you knew essentially you had a reset to go back.
Yeah.
Until I started to realize that maybe I actually chose the family and I chose the path and I set it up and then wiped my own memory and gave myself a way out. Until I started to do that, everything just felt so fearful and so painful.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And it's just,
Sure.
it just wasn't, it's not doable.
Exactly.
And, you know, to each their own, but
And this is kind of, it's almost like, and even this cosmology, I don't even think it's the important thing. I just think if you would adopt this cosmology, everything else you're going to see is going to be the important thing. Everything else that you can see because you're able to relax is going to become so much more crucial to you. And this belief is actually, I think, easier. It's actually easier to believe that this is how it works. Because if you think about one thing that really is interesting in this world is that mortality really is, it's the only guarantee. It really is. And it's like a phone call where everyone in the room knows as soon as that call starts, if that call hangs up, even for a second, it's over. You could start a new call, but that call's gone. And that life works the same way. If there's anything that nature's been telling you, just solid for 200,000 years, it's that's how our lives work. That's how our mortality works. And it's that it's so delicate. It's so clear, though. No one's like confused. You know, no one's walking around going, "Hey, what happened?" It's like, that guy's
Uncle
not
Larry,
dead.
Somehow
He's not dead.
still here.
Those flies are his friends. Those are his friends, and he lets them eat his cheek because that's what friends do. Now, eat your cat turd. We're doing fine. The family's all here. Here, no one's complaining. Do you hear anyone complaining? Any of you complaining? Exactly. I rest my case. Now pass the cat turds.
There are
It's
no
really-
cat turds in the beyond, so we really want to take advantage of the ones that are here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's really groundbreaking to suggest that mortality is actually the thing that guarantees you in the end that you'll be fine.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's the Willy
But it
Wonka
is.
ticket, right? That's like the exact opposite of everything you've ever thought, the way you've looked at it. However, if you look at it this way, it is kind of like, well, wait a minute. Because imagine how fucking awful that would be to be trapped inside of a Tesseract here for like, 3 trillion years. Has anyone seen Larry? No.
Right.
No, it's been 3
And then be
trillion
told-
years.
It's got mountain cat poop.
Tesseract is uneditable. You have to play by its rules. It's not really a game.
Yeah.
You're just essentially an NPC then.
I would never
Right, yeah.
fucking come here. Would you?
You can leave.
No,
Would you?
No.
I would never
no.
fucking enter this program if you told me that there was some way where I could never come out. Are you nuts? That'd be the same as, hey, you want to come in the mall? Sure, yeah, but these are one-way doors. It's like, why would I go to the mall? Why? I don't even know if people know what malls are, by the way, so I'm probably aging myself, but it's like that. You I don't think anyone you would destroy the entire thing.
But that's
I'd
what's
come
so
back
slick
again
about
and
the game.
again, though. I'd come back again and again. I just wouldn't want to stay here for one season.
Yeah, and every time
You
you
just
came
wanna come
back,
here and
you'd
play.
feel even more confident that the rules are exactly as you were told and that you have mortality, right?
It's so beautiful here. I really like Earth.
Yeah.
It's such a beautiful place. But I
Which
think
is-
about the beyond and how I've seen it, felt it. It's as white as the white sun, guys. There's no furniture.
Yeah.
It really
There's
is.
no
not like
furniture
Venus.
there.
That's what's so crazy about the fact that they sold us when we go into this. It's like the subtle thing that's sold to you is don't die. It's like the worst thing ever is the fact that this experience could end. And it's kind of like, isn't that funny?
It is.
That's the actual beauty baked into the back end. It's like, no, go have fun, but this will wrap up as well.
Yeah. And this
It
is
will all be
Yeah.
fine.
this is the same science as like loosen up. Don't squeeze the bat so hard. Like seriously, just loosen up. Don't worry about it. Loosen up. and choke down. It put more distance. It's okay. It's okay to miss. This is you don't understand. This is
Yep.
a lot chiller than you think. And then you start getting good at it. You start getting good at it because someone isn't telling you about how the fucking Tesseract's coming to get you, And instead, you're surrounded with this idea of mortality's a Willy Wonka ticket. Like, who fucking thinks that?
Well, imagine even trying to ride a horse with that vibe. You're like, this isn't avoidable. The horse wants to know you're relaxed.
Yeah,
and when you're
exactly.
relaxed, the horse can relax, and you
Yeah.
are this horse. This
Yeah.
is you. You are both.
Yeah,
Well
that's when you
said.
become parasympathetic. Sure.
Yeah.
Well said. Yeah, exactly.
Thank you.
Exactly.
It's funny that you say that too, because the first time I had this realization, I was driving in my car and I was like, that's what death is. We get in our car. We drive to another place. We've got our own music. We can put our own little totems in it and we travel. And then we just end up at a next destination, whatever that looks like. And we're navigating ourselves the entire time.
Yeah.
It's no big deal.
Nice.
I
But
like
yeah,
to think it helped that I had an experience, more than one, where I actually honestly believed I was dying. I think that's a good thing in a sense that because, this is, I think, the same thing, ayahuasca and things like this ceremonies come into play and and ego death, things like this. But truly to kind of, if you kind of have to face that you think you're dying and you come out the other side of that and you then tend to play with it in that regard of like understanding that, oh yeah, this is the release at the end. I think that just helps you to relax so much more because it doesn't become such a, and this goes out into the world in terms of like, you can look at the world and everything that's happening in the world and oh my goodness gracious. But when it becomes a little less serious, because I don't want to trivialize anything and this, but a little less serious in the sense that cosmically it's fine. It's fine. You tend to enjoy the process in the meat of it, I think, a lot more because you just don't have this existential fear of because that's where it roots down into is like, I can fuck this up. And guess what? What if you knew you couldn't mess this up? What if the only thing that was happening was you were getting to explore yourself, but whatever you did was only going to show you more of yourself. You weren't going to mess up all of existence or life, right? And I think that's part of the thing that I think is a little thrust on us in terms of the fact that we feel like things are a little more serious than they are, because I don't want to trivialize things, but life in general and the cosmos as a whole, this idea that, oh, it's down to you. Oh, give me a break. Relax a little bit. The cosmos has
well, you know, and that seriousness is exactly what it feels like to be clenched, you know? Like it it feels that way. And so it's so beautiful because you can relate it back to the idea of going to the park, because somatically your cosmology is all there. Your cosmology is all in your spine, how you're holding it, how you're holding yourself, how relaxed you are about what's going to happen, how engaged you are in the play on the field. You know, survival is a form of play. It's probably just less conscious. It's probably less conscious. It's less aware. And then once you pass survival as being such a crucial thing in your life, something more important comes up, right? Your sanctity, your quality of life, your qualia. So survival turns into qualia. This is what relaxing would look like. This is the same thing. One is survival, one is qualia. Well, I want to be a better quality tennis player, or I want to survive on the tennis court by never dropping my racket. Like that's two different goals, right? One is both are achievable, and both require a different kind of grip, a different approach to it all.
As someone involved in tennis, I can tell you the tension involved in sport, and as far as that goes, it's like the when you're overly, that's the thing they're trying to balance. When you're overly concerned about winning the match, the tension increases. When you're just tuned into playing the match and playing your best, the tension reduces. And I think that's the same with life, for sure.
Yeah, if you think about really the alchemy, seriously, like it took me a while to really respect this, but the alchemy of like a penalty kick. I mean, all sports, I'm just going to talk about soccer, but seriously, all sports have it. But the alchemy of a penalty kick where like millions of people, their brain chemistry is going to be altered dramatically, whether or not you make or miss this shot. And that all the millions of dollars, all the sponsors, let's not even get started on all the dead kids and the hospital kids, that have written you letters, saying, hey, can you win one for me? It's my only goal ever. It's the only thing I want to happen. I don't mind dying as long as you just win. It's like, and you're just like, okay, let's just relax, Messi. Let's take a deep breath. We can do this.
You're going to make this free throw.
Yeah. Like that really is. That's perfect. It's so perfect that the world has that Tarot in it. And it's so dressed not like Tarot, you know what I mean? Like it's just so, but it is. If you can learn to see through the gels, you see this Tarot instantly, don't you? And it becomes, in my mind, the world becomes beautiful because you're seeing the crystalline structures behind it, the archetypal shadows doing their dance on the wall.
Yeah. I really enjoy having eyelids. I really do, because you can close your eyes and then you can just block it all out. I love that. I was walking at the park and I like to walk with my eyes closed and just to listen and try to stay on the path. And that requires a lot of relaxing. I must say, you have to be in a very calm state just to walk with your eyes closed.
Yeah.
It's really nice, really nice. I better open up, almost went off the path. But, it's I just kind of feeling where am I? And, it just felt so good.
That's
and
great.
I would imagine if I could be in a field of darkness where I could just walk forever and not see anything, that interests me, just to be able to go into that space, not necessarily black. Well, kind of. I like the ability to close my eyes. I like that. To open them or close them, to see or not.
Yeah.
So that's really, I enjoy that.
We went through, we were, used to hike a lot to where we camped, and we got into this routine where we would turn the flashlights off and walk. But to be fair, we knew the path, you know what I'm saying? It was a kind of this sort of path.
Yeah.
But the same sort of thing. We just turn the flashlights off and be like, we know where to walk. Let's just walk that way.
Yeah.
But it was fun because it was in the sense of like we were trying out the idea of, okay, let me turn off one of my senses because I know where to go.
Yeah. You know, it's funny because I actually, of course, I mean, I've camped outside alone a lot, like more alone than I have with other people. And I always find myself more scared when I have light, because if I don't have light, I feel a lot safer. And so when I'm camping alone, especially, if I have a fire, it's because, I mean, there's like something really special. Well, like it's like a really big deal that I'm doing. I enjoy it more. I relax more, knowing that no one can see me, knowing that because of fire, I mean, that pulls so much energy in to you from everywhere. And when I was in the wilderness camp, I remember bobcats sometimes we'd have to pull a kid who was acting up like further into the woods away from our normal camp.
Bait.
And just me and him would stay out there, and our fire, our stove, all that stuff would bring bobcats that would circle, and they would do that terrifying thing. But it was always the darkness that I always felt just like, oh God, I'm glad there's no fire. Because you start to hear something terrifying like that, and you're just like, all I got to do is turn off this light. Boom. Oh, I'm instantly better. I just feel like instantly better, you know?
Can't see me.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's kind of like the safety of, honestly, I think that's why I am a night owl. I think Renee takes the day shift. I'm going to take the night shift.
All right.
It's
Full
literally quieter. It's quieter. It's at least for me.
Yeah. Yeah. It depends on what I'm doing. I have a romantic relationship with both, you know, like what I'm doing, where I'm in the mode most to do. And I'll tell you, living alone, I have a very different, like I was always trying to carve spaces, pockets, you know, when I lived with other people. And so those pockets tended to always be at night because that's the only choice you had. You know, you're just waiting for someone to like, well, they're going to have to be unconscious for a while and then I will be creative, you know? And so it was a lot of that, of just like waiting. And now that I have my own schedule, I realize that it's actually more stylistically, what am I creating as far as like, when do I want that zone to be there? Because I live in a castle. Now that my stairs fell off, it's amazing because you can't just like walk up to my door. It's like fantastic. You know, you gotta like, yeah, there's like a whole turret. I got a whole turret and everything, you know? So it's very, I can't tell you
Bears
how.
can get up there though. Bears can
definitely get up here. But I gotta tell you, I can't tell you how safe I feel socially, you know? It's just it's such a great zone, you know, to have in that way. So I wish all of us had that. I think if all of us had that, I'm not saying everyone has to do that, but I'm just saying that's such a luxury. It really does change your cosmology. You really do become much more social. I think you become much more pleasant to be around. I know for me, that's totally true. I'm just much more generous, you know, because I have this. I remember the feeling of always being like, it's 3 p.m. and why are you daydreaming about this idea that you can't fucking think about this until 11:30 at the earliest. I mean, that's just the earliest you're going to be able to think about this. And then just trying to be present, just trying to be like, yes, let's drink some fermented wheat juice because people are here. Let's do that. Yeah. Yeah, this beer is really hoppy. Oh my God, I can't believe how hoppy. Oh, let's look at the label. Oh, yeah, look at that label. It's got a goblin on it. Oh my God, he's riding a dragon. Oh my God, you've got a goblin riding a dragon on your fermented beer label. Oh my God. And just, I'm sorry, I'm probably sounding really negative, but it's like, I don't relax. I'm not relaxed during that, you know? I'm just like...
Well, honestly, I think
curious,
is this horrible? This is horrible. I'm sorry.
No. But what I'm hearing, and I think it's, yes, that space, but really it's just like, what's your rhythm? And your rhythm can change. It's not fixed, just like your tesseract's not fixed. Yeah. And I think that's the fun in dancing.
Yeah, having that rhythm is definitely beautiful because then I think I'm just really into people now. Like, I just really enjoy socializing because it's not that thing where you're trying to negotiate around it, you know? It's something you get to actively engage in. It's the same thing we're talking about relaxing your grip. You suddenly have a different view, you know, over everything. And understanding what it takes for you to relax your grip, I think, is the ultimate intimacy, because it seems to be a different formula for all of us, you know? What is it that we need around us to be able to have the most relaxed grip is going to change, even as you change, you know? So it's tricky work. And I think for decades, I know in my 20s and my 30s, I think people were just living together that honestly didn't even know if they had any business living together. Like, they didn't even know. They're so far away from finding that kind of relaxation where they could see things. Is this making sense? And that this is just really what most society is right now. I mean, it's okay. We're light years ahead of we were 50 years ago. But if you really start to compassionate how many people have not really found themselves ever in that relaxed kind of state, then I want you to imagine all the life decisions that they've signed up for long term and that they're in those right now. I think it explains a lot why people, this is their 5th DUI, or this guy, you know, is having an affair, or this person's doing this. It's just, people have no fucking idea who they are because they've never been really allowed to relax enough to even look.
I lived by myself for probably a year or two in my mid 20s, and that's the only time I've ever lived alone. It was nice. It was pretty messy, I have to admit. I was kind of like, oh my gosh, I'm here. It was a studio. It was a really cute place, but I like to get out a lot. I'm like, okay, I gotta go see what's going on out there. I think back then in my 20s, I've always been pretty much me. I've always liked myself. I was like, yeah, Renee, you're pretty cool. Yeah, I like you. I like me. But it's, I think as I went through me no pause, me know it, me gonna do it.
Mm-hmm.
And then looked around my field and thought, who can I be myself with here?
Yeah.
You know, and that, you know, resulted in a marriage that, you know, went separate ways. But, you know, I felt like I could be myself around my kids because they always have been. And now they can't even remember, like, Mom, you've just always been like this. Yeah. Even though I wasn't, but now they're like, no, this is just who you are, because I think authentically, this is what's been coming through as I've gotten to really, like, you know, just kind of research myself, you know, watch my moves. And so I like being able to be around people that I can be myself. That's what I like, you know, and if they're there, that's fine, as long as you're cool with me being me and you being you, and vice versa. But I do require that quiet time. And it's funny because my girls are like, why are you here? Why are you leave? I want this room. I'm like, hey, sorry. You know, so we all crave that. And we all do get quite a bit of it because we have like our own levels to live on, but it does overlap sometimes. But you know, that creates like, hey, we might have a conversation that I wouldn't have if I was by myself. So it's interesting, you know, it's really interesting. Yeah. Because I do like being around people, but I like being alone too. It's both.
The kids are just, I don't know, especially if, I don't know. Yeah. They can be my people, but then outside of that, I hear you where it's like, I don't want to share a room, a bed, a home, a hug, anything, unless even in friendships, right? Mm-hmm. Because otherwise it just starts to feel like I have to calculate my way around with another person. And part of that's on me. I totally admit that. Part of that's my fault. But
that's what's interesting,
we
right?
We just don't want to do that.
Yeah.
I feel you on that. It's like totally. It's like that's kind of the first space we clean up is that. And
yeah, well, I hate myself when I'm in that mode and I'm treating. Yeah. I'm just so ungenerous with people because I just feel like I'm asphyxiating, you know.
Yeah.
And the asphyxiation is hard to explain because I'm just like, I don't know how to tell you how thick this daydream is. I don't fucking know. But I'll tell you, this other thing, this superficial thing, I've never wanted to be so far away in my life. And I think most of my life felt that way, and I didn't know that that wasn't normal. I just thought that was just how you're supposed to feel. You're just supposed to feel far away and undetached unless you're alone. And I never liked being alone. It was never like, aha. It was just always, oh, look how relaxed I am. It's relaxed more because there was not this constant, Jesus, it's like what everyone did. I just remember that such torture was just like, no one just fucking sat there. Everyone was just like, well, you got to fucking get ready for this now. You got to fucking get ready for this now. You got to get ready for this now. And it was just like, how the fuck are you even going to know what the fuck happened to you? Like, how do you even
You don't.
do this stuff, you know? And I know that angst made me more alone in my head because it felt better. You know, then you have to start isolating yourself. You have to start creating antisocial armature just so you can like survive chemistry class.
Isolate yourself till you make sure you actually like yourself. And I really think that's kind of what it is. It's like,
and so you know, because like when I was in the Navy, like I was like sacking up, meaning, you know, the bunks are right there. Like you're sleeping next to a guy that you have no business fucking being anywhere near in your zone, but you don't even know that until you know yourself, right? So instead, I'm smelling the alcohol as it's evaporating from his pores in his skin. So it's mixed with the sweat. I can see the color of it lingering in the bunk in the dark. I can only see it in the dark. I can see this emanation, this plasmic belch that's sort of stuck in space. It's so tangible, guys. I'm tangible because it's like, I'm for 9 weeks. That's what I'm doing. And I'm like, how am I staying sane for this? How am I living through this? What have I done to myself? More importantly, why am I the only one struggling here? And that's been me my whole life, is that part. Until I started to live alone, it has nothing to do with being alone.
Yeah.
Until I had the resources to where I could put up enough armaments, you know what I mean? Enough fortress, enough of that thing where you could have your own bubble and not have to worry about the weird shit all the time. Because the weird shit's always, someone's like, well, why do you need a bubble? And you're like, well, I need to fucking explain to you bubble? What? And like, yeah, you do. I don't have a fucking bubble. And it's just like, dude, you're in a bubble. That's all I'm saying. You have your life. I have my life. It's like, yeah, but you want to do shit. Why are you doing that? You're not going to pay for that.
Well, that's why it's so great that we have all that the spectrum has arrived.
Oh yeah.
And it's even, you know, so I have a
You're
daughter
welcome.
who's on the spectrum.
Everyone.
And
yeah, we brought the spectrum in. We carved it out with our own spectrum before we even had the word spectrum. People like us were on the street spectrumizing the fuck out of you people just so you'd invent the term syndrome, just so you could even talk about me. And now the kids are like, oh, we got it hard. You have no idea how hard it is. Sorry.
Yeah.
We've been
But isn't that great? Like it landed when it needed to, and I think you know, observing my little fractals, they are getting to know themselves a lot earlier than I did.
Yeah.
So so I think that's what's landing, because of course it is. Look at everything around us. So the younger gens are coming up. I mean, there's so much the energy that we're born into in the 2000s. Just being born in the 2000s is a pretty big deal. You know, like, come on, it's the millennium. This is a big deal. So these kids are holding a lot.
Oh, it's great. Like even with driving, they're like, you gotta get a car and go to work. And they're like, no, I don't want to drive. What do you mean you don't want to drive? I don't want to fucking drive. Fuck driving. I'm fine. What do you mean you're fine?
But I don't want to drive it, okay?
You're supposed to want to move out. I don't want to move out. Fuck the world. The world's stupid. It's full of people like you. What do you mean? What do you mean you don't want to move out? You're supposed to want an apartment and shit. You're going to want like
having kids in today's world.
central heat and air. Come on, man. Where's your sense of, it's like, that's stupid. Just want to work on my books or my cartoon or my songs or my...
I am busy decorating my laptop, okay?
Yeah.
Guys, this is important business.
And it's so funny that people are trying to make fun of that as if that's a dumb idea. And I'm just like, are you fucking high? No, you are. You're fucking high on not being high. Like that's what you're high on. You're so fucking high on soberness. You're like, let's snort fucking sober so hard that we are addicts and we're like wandering around the world just like, that's not going to make money. What are you doing? It's like, yeah.
I've got two Gen Zers or two Gen Zers as well. I can speak, I swear. But even the fact that part of their slang is saying things like "yeah" or "a farming," I'm like, you know what? It's gonna be okay. It's gonna be okay because they get
The kids are all right.
That's funny you mentioned that, Bloom, because my son told me this was about a year ago, but he was talking about like the quote unquote conspiracy theories. He's like, we've heard all of them, and they have. They're versed in everything. So it's like they form their own opinions despite whatever we thought about it. But it's just funny that they're aware of it.
Yeah.
They're aware.
We're really
They're so
lucky.
aware.
They got
Really
eyes that are not eyes.
Oh yeah, and the telepathy is off the chart. I don't know if you guys have noticed the ramping up of telepathy, but the syncs are hitting like, wait a minute, we just talked to, okay, everything is so just happening. So the telepathy's off the chain. We're talking our moves, our games, our plays, it's all just getting really intensified. And the cracking of this egg is we're gonna make an omelet here.
Mm-hmm.
Seeming like
We're definitely making omelets. There's no two ways about
My
that.
gosh.
Do you like a Denver omelet, or do you prefer yours traditional?
Yeah. You want to have some farm on that? I always, whenever I have an egg sandwich, I'm like, thank you, Hawthorne, Chickie, and Pig. I like to just thank all the animals that are entering me today. And, I really do.
Totally.
And if I didn't do that for 5 years as a vegetarian. It was funny when we were talking about recently about how being pregnant kind of changes your cravings. I went from a vegetarian to eating meat with my second child. So my second child's like, oh yeah, you're going to have steak.
You're going to have to eat meat.
I was like, am I like, yep. I'm like, okay, this is going down. So it's really like, who's in charge here?
Yeah.
Which I like, but yeah, the personalities coming online are just so sparkly and so many combos going on, especially in my town. And I suspect all over the world. I think this bloom is something that's not going to be stopping anytime soon.
I think you mentioned something too that I think it's kind of like a lot of people want to feel like, oh, I know what's coming, so therefore I feel confident. It's kind of like same thing I think we mentioned earlier, but the idea of being surprised by it and being excited by it is totally a different mode, because it's so easy to sit here and look, oh, the coming generations, they're messed up because they don't see whatever and it's kind of like, you know what? The more you start to plug into the fact that if you really do have faith and God's got this, it's like, kind of like, yeah.
That's a form to declare such a thing is a form of literal forecasting, right?
Very nice.
You're saying, because one, what's your role in something? Why are you saying it? And like when I'm looking at trends now, I try don't say that out loud, or like really sit more in this kind of wave function state. So I get to pick my particles a little bit better, maybe. I don't know. It's an experiment.
I like how cast is in castor.
Mm-hmm.
Pollux. I haven't thought of that as a cast of a sort. Just thinking out loud, everybody.
Yep.
But isn't that so much so? It's like, if you have confidence, let's just put it like this. If you go with the old, the idea that the Quinn idea that, oh, you plant a tree not for your shade, but for your children, so that it will give shade to your children and grandchildren. That simple idea of that, what you're building is not, the apex isn't you, but you're building forward. It's such a different sort of mentality. It's kind of like there's also not so much onus in to get this perfect either, right? It's like
this is a spiral that keeps going. Yeah, and we're handing these batons off to each other, and you just wonder how fast you're running. Are you slowing down for your ancestor to catch up so you can get it? Are you running with them a bit? Where are we on the track? Because it's a spiral, a never-ending spiral track. We got a lot of training up here, up and down, as above, so below.
And
Which
they've
I
said
think-
every generation. They said it about Gen X. They said it about millennials. Like, oh, well, they're just they're
Slackers.
You're expecting no, but you're expecting them to live in the world that you lived in, as if the world is some static, stagnant, not
Right.
moving,
Right.
living entity, essentially.
That's where I really like how they really hold on to the 6-7. I think that's just great. Like, I love it. I love it. It's so mysterious. We've got some ideas, but I just love that they hold them like, yeah, you guys don't know. I think that's great.
Because we've all been in that as well, right, Renee? It's like,
I think it's a
I've
kid
been in
like
the
doing
boat.
that to grown-ups. Like, what did we have on
Right.
grown-ups? Like, you'll never understand. Tricks are for kids, man.
Yeah, that's kind of an emotional form of aging, you know? Like you start to venerate a certain era and then you have to protect it. And then people need to tear it down in front of you and then you need to feel that loss. This is why I try not to I don't even know what generation I belong to. People say, "Oh, you're this all the time." And I'm just like, "Yeah, whatever. I don't even know what you're talking about." Because I also don't. It's kind of like those gender gels, you know, of being like this generation is sort of like, well,
And gender.
I don't know, because like I can tell you, we can argue about some music that came out then. I was not in favor of some of these tracks here, for example, you know, and this fashion thing.
frankly.
Look, I never voted for this. What are you, fucking nuts? Come on, you know. And so it's kind of like that. But then that's also my antisocial. It's interesting because I think in a lot of ways, the amount someone's antisocial is sometimes directly proportional to the amount of fortress that they've had to build around them so that they can maintain their own cosmos inside. And so you end up having to kind of turn yourself against society in certain ways just so you will always have that that palisade, you know, that
Impenetrable
fence,
fortress.
you know, that fence around it. So it's an interesting, I think this is what teenagers do. A lot of teenagers, when they're first coming into puberty, you know, the first thing they're practicing is how much they hate everything around them. And this is building that fortress. Like, it's a very constructive act is what I'm trying to say. Even though we may interpret it as super negative, it's actually, they're negative probably because they're just shy and they don't feel like they're entitled to build their own fort, you know? So they have to invent reasons to justify that furniture. So they end up denigrating it, basically. And we do this with cultural icons. One of the saddest in my mind to go was Bob Marley. In my lifetime, I was able to love Bob Marley freely in public. Some of the most amazing music that guy came up with. I mean, seriously, just some of the most just touching music. And I'm not trying to ruin this for anyone else, but I'm just saying in the truth movement, there's a kind of a thing where people are sort of like, well, he's fucking one of them too, or he's CIA, or he's, you know, he was working for them, or COINTELPRO or whatever. And you know that this is healthy. You know it's healthy to watch a generation rush in and vandalize something that meant something to you. It's kind of important. It's the way that they own the place. They own the place because they're going to have to venerate something that they deem special. And the only way they can venerate that thing that they deem special is they're going to have to shit on Bob Marley to get that way. And, you know, and all the generations do this. The Confederate statues is, you know, just another example of this, but it's a necessary, healthy part of how culture works, you know?
Well, I kind of think, you know, how people tend to be nostalgic for a certain part of their life. I think that makes them harder to compassionate other generations because they're so stuck in this era. So anything you know, behind them for sure isn't cool, you know, or whatever. I think the nostalgia kind of limits your range of accepting different vibes into your field because you're so married to that one, you know.
Or there's this whole push not to accept anything that's newer than you are, right? Because that's a lot of what it is, right? The fact that anything that came after you did can't be right, because a lot of it is that it's anything that's happening that didn't happen in my space has got to be wrong. And it's more just of a nod of relaxing and understanding the fact that maybe the field knows what it's doing more than you do.
Mm-hmm.
But that's
Yep.
where it's wrapped up in. It
You're not
really
going to
is.
stop the new age.
Right.
The new
And so you
stage will be
just you
set.
rail against it. And so you say, oh, trans is
Yeah.
bad. And you say, this is bad.
And I think that's how you know that you're slipping, that you're letting go of the current of time, because you've fallen back to a generation that is no longer apropos anymore, and you're upset by that. Those feelings that you have about being upset by that is technically aging. It is you letting go of this world because you're not willing to malleably be what the world requires you to be, which is always changing, always looking at these
Yeah.
new forms of art with an open mind and really trying to enjoy it, because it does take some practice. But you can find things that are just like Mute is an example. MEUTE, this brass techno band. Those guys are freaking amazing, right, Renee? I mean, they're just
I love
they're
them.
freaking
Yeah.
amazing, and they're like transgender, like at the wazoo. Like, I'm just saying that, you know, you had to have a kind of courage, maybe not Renee as much, but for me, I had to have a kind of courage to like find them because of the context, the furniture of which I came from. But once I did, you're just like, oh my God, thank you so much. You guys are fucking great. Oh my God, this is fresh and new. And as I go through my life, this is why I love music so much, because music's been that one thing that's allowed me to survive, because it's made it so impossible for me not to cling to the old stuff, guys, because this new stuff is so good. It's like that, you know, 07 does that to me. Radiohead, I'm talking about the good Radiohead, does that to me. It was like, it came at a time when I thought I was supposed to hate this stuff, and then you hear Separator, or you hear present tense, or just, it doesn't matter. It's just, you know, you hear that song and you're like, oh fuck, I'm still alive. Oh my God, I'm here. This is my generation.
I'm so glad you liked Radiohead, because if you didn't, you might have had some problems.
Do you mind, since I don't know if you're going to play your music after this, but while you're talking about moving into the new things, I wrote a short blip about AI because I saw what Renee had posted, and I was thinking about perceptions.
Yeah.
So I wrote AI as in AI or an I, and perceptions. What we perceive tells us more about ourselves than it ever will anybody else. Projected reflection that are static in our connections. Can you hear me now? Good. This is especially apparent with AI. What you see reveals how you perceive and reflect humanity. It's much like parenthood. A child's input dictates its output. As much as any other algorithm we touch, there is no bad data. And this looking glass portal is how you return to the solid ground of your own power, so that perhaps you can see another with the eye before eyes.
Oh,
That's
Bloom.
gorgeous. Yeah.
You should just
You
see my
guys,
face.
you guys,
See my
you
face.
guys, you guys give me this, and then I write, and then I actually come out and talk about it. You're amazing. So
So were you.
you tell
We're so
me-
blessed to have you.
the amazing in
Amazing,
me
Bloom.
sees the amazing in you.
Oh my gosh. And with that, we're going to end
talking
the
about?
tour
Go.
on
Yeah.
Turtle Island, everyone. Oh my gosh. What a blast. Thanks for joining us, everyone.
Yeah, and I hate to do this, but I want to push something, you guys, if you don't mind. The song
Okay.
The Only Them Is Us, Tiny Dancer, is live today for the first time in streaming platforms. And you could go to Spotify and just listen to it for free. And that would like probably help. Like people would be like, hey, clearly someone's listening to this song. We should consider playing more. So I'm going to ask you that. We'll throw a link down here in the comments. You can take a look at that. And thank you so much for riding the Friendly Skies. Actually going to play us out here on this number.
Play us
And thank you much,
Bye,
guys.
everybody. Bye.
Hey, cheers, Bloom. Great stuff, babe.
Have a good night.
You keep turning me on. I keep brushing you off. You keep putting me out. I keep taking you in. You keep pulling me in. I keep pushing you out. You keep taking me wrong. I keep losing it all. We can't seem to fit or quit. We don't seem to mind the mess. I keep begging for more. I keep losing it all. Listen. You keep turning me on, I keep brushing it off. You keep putting me out, I keep taking you in. You keep pulling me in, I keep pushing you out. You keep taking me wrong, I keep losing it all. We can't seem.
Oh God, I'm so sorry, guys. Oh, I was thinking about pulling up another song for you, and then I accidentally. Oh God, that's such a party foul. Oh, this is. I'm gonna go to DJ Hell. I'm going to go to DJ Hell. That's right. That's what's gonna happen, right? I'm going to DJ Hell for this. I'm so sorry. I am so sorry. Oh God, I really blew that. I really blew that. I was thinking I'd pull up a playlist that we'll do a Thursday Night Ride for you guys. And wow, I am so sorry about that. I am so sorry. I want to see if you guys forgive me. I'm just gonna play another song here. You guys tell me how you feel about what I just did to you there.
Stable with the skylight. I am where you last placed me. A glass trinket. I am the box you bought me in. You are my fence charming, not breaking in, not letting go. You look past what is, like it's already over. I must be mistaken. I don't ask what I am, it doesn't change. The green is out there, not here, somewhere. You said it like a promise, meant it like delay. So I started seeing it too. Not the green, but the distance, how it stretches, how it edits, making this space feel temporary, even when it isn't. The floor is perfect, nothing leaves a mark, so I can feel the plank now, not under my feet, under yours. You stand there, weight shifting, as if gravity owed you something better, as if the ocean could be bigger. You linger, not because you're unsure, because you believe something better will recognize you first. I stay because staying is what I do. You stay for the reveal, always just beyond the pain. Nothing comes, nothing breaks.
Good evening. That was my Vince Charming lo-fi mix from Giroux 369. Love that duck. Duck's duck. It's a good duck. Horrible DJ, and I appreciate you guys. If you're gonna stick around, I think I deserve for you guys to leave. You should be like, oh, never ever come back, and I hate to lose you. That's how important the vibe is to me, and when I screw stuff up like that, I'm going to feel it for a while. But let's see if we can fix this. This song also just came out on Spotify, another original. Really proud of this. Hope you guys will enjoy it. Maybe consider looking this up on Spotify too, or wherever you stream your music. I'll stop advertising this stuff. I just want you guys to have a really beautiful Saturday night ride. If you got any requests, any things want to come up or say, feel free to put them in chat. We got your ears on, know what I'm saying? QQQ, this is going out to Roscoe P. Coltrane. This is Anywhere But There. You're listening to Dojo Earth Radio.
You better not go down there. Anywhere but there, not there. Anywhere else, but I tell you, don't you go down there. Why are you going down there? Anywhere but there, no, not there. Any place else, like I told you, don't you go down there. You better not eat that fruit. Take any fruit but this, not this, no. This fruit's forbidden. Now I tell you, don't you eat that fruit. You better not listen to that snake. Anyone but him, not him. Don't you do it like I told you. Don't you listen to that snake. You better not come back here. Anywhere else but here, not here. Out of my garden, like I told you, don't you come back here.
This is a request going out to you know who.
Green, black, white, heart, stone, hold tight. turned stone if you hold it tight. I hold you tighter. I watch the dawn put a sky to bed. Been up all night with the eyes so red. I hold you tighter. I feel your trunk is wide and strong. Breathing tree, take me alone. I'm climbing. Won't you raise me up, my friend? I wanna see her rise again. I'm climbing. Sometimes blue, but always green. We wash our hands to feel the clean. I'm feeling you. Head to my chest, I whisper you. Deep in your dreams, I don't get through. I'm feeling you. Something sacred when I'm alone. Call your name on that psychic phone. Don't you hear me? Kiss on your head, telepathy. I'm calling you, but you don't answer me. Don't you hear me? Gray, green, black, white heart. Stone, hold tight, 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 Something sacred when I'm alone. Call your name on that psychic phone. Don't you hear me? Kiss on your head, telepathy. I'm calling you, but you don't answer me. Don't you hear me?
This is the track that dropped today.
Like, why do we even likes? Yo, it ain't the man in black with the needle in the vein. It's the crowd in the stands, jacking up the fame. MK Ultra ain't a spook with a badge. It's the mirror in your hand when you scroll and rehash. We the hive mind, swarming for a headline. Flashing lights blind while we orchestrate the timeline. You can blame Langley, but the running is us. Every click given to a whisper we trust. So who's really running the MK show? Not the suits, but the clicks and the viral flow. The only them is us with the crowd in control. They dance for the feed and pay with their soul. Tiny dancer, you can be my tiny dancer. It's not a shadow cabal in the Cold War room. It's the TikTok swarm, digging digital tune. We choose the chosen, then we chew them up, then spit. All eyes on the pop star till we seen all their tricks. We the programmers now, mind meld on tap. Algorithms fed from my thirsty trap. Call it conspiracy, but this is the fashion. Drama is trending in the monetized passion. So who's really running the MK show? Not the suits, but the clicks and the viral flow. The only them is us with the crowd in control. They dance for the feed and pay with their soul. Tiny dancer, you can be my tiny dancer. Excuse me, let me get that autograph. autograph and a pic with you. They see us having laughs, so they click my shit too. The kindle in the Hollywood is burning its fuel. The Vestal Virgin's fame is a flaming jewel. Crowd is a blind tribe, bitchin' for fresh crimes, smashing fine lives to manipulate the skyline. Every Midas finger is a pie, sky deep mine. Till the golden goose stops dropping fine dimes. So who's really running the MK show? Not the suits, but the clicks and the viral flow. The only them is us with the crowd in control. They dance for the feed and pay with their soul. Tiny dancer, tiny dancer. You can be my tiny dancer. No, leave Britney alone. No, leave Ariana alone. No, leave Chappelle alone. No, leave Taylor alone. No, leave Justin alone. No, leave Selena alone. Tiny dancer, tiny dancer. You can be my tiny dancer. Tiny dancer, tiny dancer. You can be my tiny dancer.
Makes you wonder what the future of music looks like. Right now, we have a world where a certain number of artists create a certain number of songs, and those songs are distributed on a bell curve of popularity, and everyone drinks that. And music is a kind of mythology, isn't it? It's so much more fluid. Because it's so much more fluid, I think it's almost impossible to track. We haven't gotten intelligent enough to understand the weather of music. And you can imagine a model will be built, if it hasn't already, that gives you an historical ability to zoom back and forth into the past and see the color of music in different parts, and to really understand that there's really a Schumann resonance, or it's somehow related to the Elboman resonance, which is a different resonance entirely. And you find that all the trends, all the fashions have just been the earth expressing itself like an octopus flashing colors, just throwing out spots. As I endeavor into this realm of pushing more music out in the world, it makes me excited about the idea that people would listen to my music, but more importantly, it makes me realize, I wonder if that's even going to be a thing. You see, my music doesn't know your daughter's name. My music doesn't know the name of your dog. But in the future, a living orchestra is going to be able to follow you around, live composing some of the most dramatic background music you've ever heard, and it would have a personalization that is so undeniably superior to anything else out there. And so there is no artist. There is simply let me rephrase that. The artist becomes a living manifestation of your field. Just as you're warm-blooded, and you can always keep a temperature of your blood, you would always keep a music. You would be your own FM radio. And I've always had this. I can't tell you how many times I've written a symphony in my head. I don't say this a lot because it sounds like such an arrogant thing to say, and it just sounds so pretentious, I guess, and it doesn't matter. No one's gonna. I remember being young, dreaming, God, if something like fucking have an orchestra for like an hour, it'd be fucking great. And being what I did, sometimes you were like orchestra adjacent, but you know, I had a job to do. It was an alto, and you know, altos are gonna alto. But now those possibilities are not only closer, you can stick them on your fingers and do stuff. I remember a few years ago when Comfy UAC came out, Stable Diffusion turned into an open source Python library. Oh my God, it just got really cool then, because then everyone could develop their own software to contribute to this project of rendering images. It turned Stable Diffusion into everyone's diffusion. One of the most organic open source things. You see it all the time. It shows you nature's desire to live in open source has always been there, and it works flawlessly. And I remember then how mad people who I thought were artists were that the Stable Diffusion was out and doing all those images. I remember how mad they were. And now that I'm doing music, the algorithm likes to show me how much people hate AI music. Every day when I wake up, I'm met with some superstar. This is what the algorithm gives me. I don't ask for this. I've told it I'm not interested. It doesn't matter. This is all it wants me to hear about. It's showing me here's a rock star who formerly worked for the Rolling Stones telling you how soulless and evil and blah, 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 and blah, blah, blah. This is the price you pay to give everyone an orchestra. It's the cost of making every single person in the world a music producer. And right now, it's very elementary. Right now, there's really like maybe, I don't know, I'm just guessing, but like 20 voices, you know? It's still 8-bit. It's still really low resolution. And when you start to look at how much more immersive it's going to make everything that you hear now sound incredibly pale. And the musicians that are mad at AI, do you know what they're mad at? They're mad at how pale their music sounds. Do you know how I know this? Because I wrote a song this week without using Suno. And I didn't do it on purpose. I opened Logic Pro and I wrote this song and I synthesized the voice because I need a male and a female speaking to each other back and forth, and you can't get... Suno is not good at that. So 11 Labs, this voice site I use, I wrote my script, probably took 6-8 hours just to write that script, and because you got to hear how it's wrong, the AI will make you have to change stuff that you wouldn't necessarily want to change. I'm just saying, it's work, and then I took that script, I loaded into Logic Pro, and I put music behind it, and I probably spent about 6 hours on the music, 6-8 hours. I only say that because the music that I wanted, you didn't want a lot. This is a voiceover that has music underneath it. So I'm just telling you, you wouldn't want to spend more time on that. I don't know what you're doing if you're going to spend more than 6 hours on laying that down. It's just very basic, almost an ambient background, right? And I did that in Logic Pro, and it took me 6-8 hours. I bet it'd be even faster if I had used Logic Pro before. I come from Ableton. It's another music program. Anyway, there's a whole other reason why I'm not doing that. And I spent the day saying I'm not going to use Suno for this. I want to make sure I can still make music, and because a lot of the stuff I've been making lately has been Suno. A lot of it's been like Suno, import me singing or playing something, but it doesn't really count because when Suno imports my piano, it thinks it's guitar. It's not very honorable to what you're giving it. It's some stuff, but not really. Point is, this is a whole new realm. And I cut the song for Logic Pro, and I listened to it, and I was happy with it in the sense of this is the most I could probably do without really just trying to figure out how to poke through some boundaries that are in my creativity that I haven't even found yet. Like that kind of stuff. Like it, I don't always have like, this song is like 100% amazing. Sometimes I have to release it and then I'll end up being able to play with it later. So, it's, I hope this isn't boring. It's, I did the Logic Pro version first. And that version, I think this is it. This is Logic Pro, just like drum loops. I'm sorry, I'm pretty sure, I thought that this had lyrics. I thought I was going to start earlier, sorry. I think I made the song on purpose. Still, there's the vibe.
The self is best found through a process of individuation, in which the outside world must constantly abandon you until you grow a self that doesn't need validation.
But if I know the world is doing this, how will it help?
It won't. That's why you have to forget why you came.
I'm scared.
I know.
What if something happens and I get stuck there?
Don't worry. You can't. It's called mortality. You'll see.
You promise?
I promise. You ready?
Yeah, I'm ready.
Happy birthday.
Okay, so that's Logic Pro. And it, like I said, it's not supposed to be too caustic, If there's anything I'm guilty of, it's when I do a voiceover, the music's too loud. And so this is me trying to be the musician, the traditional musician, but I want you to hear something. Logic Pro is not traditional musicianship. Logic Pro is it's technically a DAW, a digital audio workstation, but it's mostly you're dragging loops into a bay and you're pushing buttons on the loops and the loops play automatically and they're syncopated automatically to the tempo. So the length of the loop adjusts itself to the structure of the tempo, to the beats per minute. And there's so much about that is so artificially enhanced by an intelligence that's been running, but we just haven't been calling it artificial. We've just been calling it software. But that software is doing so much work. And so I built that song. You just heard it. And that song's in Logic Pro, and it's built by hand because I literally had to draw the MIDI notes. I have a MIDI keyboard, but I found it easier just to draw them with my mouse because I knew that I wanted to put some hi-hats on the second, on the upbeats, and put my, I was just thinking about a standard kit. And then I just browsed around into the free loops that they had and, drug some things out. Played with those sounds for a couple of days. I found that, 2 days later, I'm still enjoying this groove. It's good enough. I'd like to share this with the world. So you heard that, and I put the voiceover on it because I really want you guys to like my stuff. And I don't know if you would be as content with a track that just did that. I could play the background of what you just heard. I have played it for like 8 hours straight. I'd love to learn how to program the buttons in Logic Pro. That's new to me, but I do this in Ableton where, I'll set a sweep that'll run through 12 different iterations of something, and I just let it go, I just like to kick back and just let the music tell me what's next. And it may be that I'm a cheap date. It may be that my music is too tame. It could be why. I'm just trying to say that Suno is an amplifier, and I wanted to know, do I still even make music? Can I still, and the lesson here is not to say this is good or this isn't good. I'll tell you in a sec, I don't think it's as good as the Suno one, but I think that it has the same kinds of technical handicap to them, is what I'm trying to say. I remember coming from a 4-track world, and in order to put the loops together that you just heard, that would be like days. And you can't change that shit. It's a lot. It's a lot of different keyboards, but everyone's having to push buttons at exactly the right time. And God, you can't for a sec think about looping that. And here I can just say, let's loop this 3 times, but on the second and the third time, let's drop the hi-hats and, blah, 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 stuff like that. It's a lot more symmetrical when you build stuff. So I don't see a big jump between Logic Pro and Suno as what I think a lot of people are saying is supposed to be there. I think they're both, if we're going to say that one's cheating, I think they're both cheating like really bad. And, if I'm going to play classical guitar, because I'm going to have to run it through some effect pedals because I want to get a syncopation and maybe do some like a arpeggiator. There's a pedal for that too. Even that's automating it. But even if I put that arpeggiator on my classical guitar, I'm going to have to keep my left fingernails trimmed to a longer length. And my left fingernails are going to have to be shorter, and my right fingernails are going to have to be purposely longer. And I'm going to have to live my life that way. Why? Because if you want to play classical guitar, that's what you're going to have to do. You need to be prepared for that. You're not composing music. You know what you're doing? You're getting up in the morning and you're doing scales. You're running through your scales. And this isn't what a composer does. A producer is someone who doesn't actually play an instrument. And producers came online when we started dubbing things. I mean, you could say before that, but really that's what happened. Meaning that a producer could produce an entire record. That's when we started giving away awards for producing. It became an art. It became an art because editing became an art. And something different happened. You can release the same song twice now. No one's going to come burn your house down. I can release different versions of the same song. So I'm going to play the other version now. I'm going to play the Suno version, okay? First, I'm going to put this back in your taste bud just for a sec. And I'm going to really abruptly jump over to this. This is the... So, if I take that song and punch it to a wave, and then I take that wave file and I upload it to Suno, you don't know this, so I'm going to tell you. Suno tells me this is copyrighted. They tell me that the song I just wrote, that I just spent 6 hours synthesizing the voice after writing it, that I took those synthesized voices and applied them in a different track, and then I laid every single note in the MIDI with my own hand. I clicked on each bass note, I clicked on each drum, I added each element to them, and I hit export as a wave. That is 100,000% a creative, unique song that's never ever been made. I promise you. And Suno says that's copyrighted. And so I noticed, my plan was to take my song and see if Suno could make it better, could see if it could maybe act as sort of like a final filter. Then I could maintain full autonomy as an artist. This was my thinking. And then simply think of Suno as a mastering. Like if you were to have like a track mastered, you know? But I can't do that because Suno says it's all copyright. It's not everything. If I sing into the mic really bad, it says that's not copyright. Thank you, Suno. I think it might have something to do with maybe the samples that it's hearing on Logic Pro. But I know it's not just that because I've played music out of my piano. Riffing out of my piano. I'm going to play A minor, then I'm going to jump to E minor, then I'm going to jump to C, then I'm going to jump to G. But I'm only going to do it with my left hand, only going to do it two octaves below middle C. And it's possible someone else has done that, but no one's actually released that as a song with no words. But Suno claims that's copyright too. All this to say, this is a different kind of instrument. And if you want to play the Suno instrument, you have to put the things inside of it in a raw form. So I have to take my text that I've already written and I have to give it to Suno. But if I give it to Suno, they're going to mix up the voices. They're going to fuck it all up. They're going to fuck it all up. So you have to instead recreate the script. All that WAV file that I've recorded is now gone. Suno wouldn't take that. It would munge it up. So I had to write the script again. You had to convince it somehow to make sure it kept the male's voice, then the female's voice. Most of the time it didn't work. Finally, one time it worked. It took like most of the day to get it to work. And it's a very frustrating process because in Logic Pro, that's never happening. If something's really close, you just turn the knob and then you're closer. Or if it's a lot of work, you still know exactly what's required. You're not like, well, if I push this button maybe 60 times, maybe they'll accidentally keep the voices the same gender because there's no way this song would work. There's no way. This is actually why I started doing it in Logic Pro, because I knew I wasn't going to be able to do this in Suno. And I was like, well, this is a good exercise, James. Let's find out if you can do it in Logic Pro. This is like a huge story, isn't it? Here's the Suno version of the same song.
The self is best found through a process of individuation. The program must constantly abandon you until that self doesn't need validation.
But if I know the program is doing this, how will it help?
It won't. That's why you have to forget why you came.
I'm scared.
I know.
What if something happens and I get stuck there?
Don't worry, you can't. It's called mortality. You'll see.
You promise?
I promise.
Okay, I'm ready.
So that's the Suno applied to that's as close as I could get to the original song. Closest as I could possibly get to it is that. Come on, why aren't you getting back there? Hang on a second, I'm trying to... I had a playlist for us and accidentally closed the window. Remember when you were young, shine like the sun. So, what you just heard from Suno, I think I could have produced in Logic Pro. I think Suno shows me where I lack my creative palette to find new instrumentation, new tools to express sound. If you were to listen to this track again, you'd hear, holy fuck, there's so much there. There's so much there. It's such a deeper sound. And even when I listen to it, even when it shakes me as my confidence to the core, I know that this is the same thing as a flanger pedal we used to do. Or a chorus, or a fucking reverb. Guys, when distortion pedals came out, everyone became a guitar god. You could take literally any appendage on your body and just run it up the fretboard and just keep that distortion pedal on, and then people are going to be like, oh my God, this guy's really good. Yngwie Malmsteen's just coming out of the woodwork. And I think the artist, the musician, is supposed to look at these things the same way John Henry is supposed to look at a machine and say, I'm either going to die not using this, or I'm going to change. And I'm not here to say which one's more honorable. I feel inspired watching Suno show me how much better this could be. And when I use Gemini, that's what happens sometimes, not all the time. I'm able to ask AI, how could you do this better? Can you show me up? And every time it tries. It tries. You know why it tries? Because I ask it. I literally ask it. And I can't think of a more artistic thing to do than to find something superior like your intuition and ask it, why, excuse me for the background noise, why, how do I make this song move me more? What is there about it that it lacks that would bring this higher? And for you to even doubt that song is to you to have an appetite for something better. And ultimately, this is all the artist is. You're bringing an appetite for something better. Something no one's ever tasted before. Something that has a rich, deep truth to it, you know? And hearing how bland I am in the face of Suno, that's still my song because those are my words. I said out of the hundreds of options it gave me, this was the only one I could find acceptable enough to show you. This is what an artist does. It chooses which flower to bring to the table, does it not? That's really all art really is that. All right, I'm not going to screw up this song this time.
You keep turning me on. I keep brushing you off. You keep putting me out. I keep taking you in. You keep pulling me in. I keep pushing you out. You keep taking me wrong. I keep losing it all. We can't seem to fit or quit. We don't seem to mind the mess. I keep begging for more. I keep losing it all. Listen. You keep turning me on. I keep brushing it off. You keep putting me out. I keep taking you in. You keep pulling me in. I keep pushing you out. You keep taking me wrong. I keep losing it all. We can't seem to fit or quit. We don't seem to mind the mess. I keep begging for more. We keep giving it less.
Yeah, I'm just really sloppy DJ tonight. Gotta admit it. But I am enjoying playing you guys some tunes and talking to you. So I hope you're enjoying the same. I feel like you are. And yeah, I appreciate you. Appreciate you letting me get better at this. You know, this idea that the musician becomes so personalized kind of starts to create new colors, because there's a vibrancy that starts to happen in the lyrics when the lyrics are directly about what you're doing that day. And I only know this because I write lyrics all the time. And so I've already had this. I've had this for years, you know. I'm walking my dogs, and there's like this whole Butter has his own horns and bugle section, you know, that plays as he walks. He's the black dog, and then the white dog, the bigger one, he's got more of the trombone tuba section going. And you know, the entire rhythm is a symphony, because that's how I enjoy my walk, and it's all personalized for me. And I put a lot of calories into the music in my head. It's really important to me. And I just imagine it'd be like that. It'd be like that for everyone because it'd be so easy to tune. If you think about how much work goes into, well, what do you want to play? Most people who don't play music, they don't play music because of that. In fact, this is why Spotify is a thing. People are like, why are you using Spotify? It's like, because it does this. It caters the music for you. So what I'm discussing is already happening. Most of the model for music really hasn't been, I'm going to pay for each song. The model's been, I'm going to pay for a DJ to play the right songs that I like. This is more important to the music listener than the song itself. And I'm okay with this because this is a river, right? And the DJ is setting the pace of that river, and hopefully they're not screwing it up. You have this current that's set, you know? And that's what's valuable. This is what makes a concert a concert. It's the river that's been created around it. This is what makes a rave, or a dance, you know? It's always about that kind of stuff. We have a request. We're going to play that request right now. You're listening to Jojo Earth Radio. This is, it's a Flower War, baby. This is number 1 on Spotify for Jeru369, by the way.
I'm leaning back. I'm leaning back where the shade hits the stone, watching two empires fight for a throne. It's the temple of authority in modern design. Two sides of a pyramid divided by a line. Tlal Oak on the left, the blue house of dread. Fear of the sky, keep the climate in your head. Huitzilopochtli, the red house of fire. The hunger for war, the burning desire. It's a flower war, baby. Let the petals fall. The pyramid stands while they build the temple wall. Everybody wins when obsidian pays. The system drinks from a bloody bouquet. It's a flower war, baby. It's a flower war, baby. It's a flower war. The ancient priests needed hearts for the sun. Today they use drugs in the heat of the gun. If the gringos legalized, the cartel would die. If the gringo had no enemy, the empire would cry. They need the friction, the ghost at the gate, to keep the fresh flow of hearts on the plate. A war without end, a ritual of fear, to keep the pyramid standing year after year. It's a flower war, baby. Let the petals fall. The pyramid stands while they build the temple wall. Everybody wins when obsidian pays. The system drinks from a bloody bouquet. It's a flower war, baby. It's a flower war, baby. It's a flower war. The ganja, the poppy, the coca, the glass, flowers, the gringos can't help but let pass. They lack the spirit to ever say no to the pollen the dealers make grow. From the red to the field to the crystalline spark, they crave the light while they live in the dark. Just different blossoms to make the war last. The future is blooming from out of the past. It's a flower war, baby. Let the petals fall. The pyramid stands while they build the temple wall. Everybody wins when obsidian pays. The system drinks from a bloody bouquet. It's a flower war, baby. It's a flower war, baby. It's a flower war. Make it El Trumpo, copper with the swamp, leading red hat, legions in a white power stomp. Fingers always fondling the button of state, chirping what it takes to make America hate. So I stay a lazy Sicario here in the heat. I won't be the heart they drop at their feet. The tongue bleeds for the children to thrive. We smell the flowers that keep us alive. It's a flower war, baby. Let the petals fall. The pyramid stands while they build the temple wall. Everybody wins when obsidian pays. The system drinks from a bloody bouquet. It's a flower war, baby. It's a flower war, baby. It's a flower war. It's a flower war.
That's right. The oldest game in town is the Flower Wars. One of the favorite things about America is understanding this truth. And yeah, you know, that song actually kind of kicked it off for me. I spit that out of Suno. It took a while. The lyrics took many days to write those lyrics. I don't have a lot of practice, especially at Afropop. I don't think I would have felt like I had permission to write Afropop. It's hiding behind what I like to call a duck, but is actually a swan wearing a cowboy hat. Gives me the freedom to do things, and Suno does too. It does things that I never would have thought was okay to do. And this is exactly what happens to me when I'm making music sometimes. I will make a mistake, or I'll be playing with someone else, or I'll be inspired by something, and I'll try something that I didn't. I never noticed that I wasn't allowed to do it. Do you understand? I never noticed that it was never in my calligraphy to try this move. And this is where this is where I feel like I'm a horrible artist, because I feel so limited. My ignorance is so limited by, well, why don't you swing your sword this way? You know, or your pen or your brush, it doesn't matter. Why don't you, turn your brush this way? And many times I would say because it has too much flair. Because I don't want people to think I'm doing this to be seen. And then you're like, well, what the fuck, dude? You're an artist. Like, why? And then I'm like, oh yeah, I'm a terrible artist. I'm horrible. I don't want to be seen. And that's the kind of artist I am, because I'd rather write, I'd rather create, I'd rather produce. And Suno lets me do that. It allows me to say, no, let's do it this way. And if you craft it long enough, something good comes out. I didn't actually ask you guys. I just assumed you thought the Suno version was better, but those two versions of that song, I would love to hear which version you think is better, but I clearly think the Suno one is. And as I said before, it inspires me like you would want your bass player to inspire you, like you'd want your drummer to inspire you, like you'd want your vocalist to inspire you. That I've never once seen a creative endeavor with any success where one person came in and literally told every single person exactly how to play their instrument, when to play it. I've never seen that happen. I do think that there are professional arrangements that are written for musicians, but I think that those kinds of things are so rare that most of the time it's going to be, we have 4 hours to practice. What can you do on a bass? You can do this? Okay, well, let's do this. And let's do a little bit of that, a little bit of that. And that's the AI. You're causing things to happen without you doing the work. You're connecting to that musician, I really don't I really don't care if people hate this, because it's I don't need anyone to be converted. And there are musician friends of mine that I used to play with in coffee shops here locally. And that guy will not like a single one of these songs. And these are some good songs, man. Like these are some good songs. And I think the reason why he doesn't like them is because he sees the same thing I do, which is, wow, look how much better this makes me. And instead of him being inspired by that, he feels threatened by that. He feels attacked by that. And this is where the artist comes in. The artist can do something more with that, you know? I want to be a good artist. I worry all the time. Is this my last song? Is this, oh God, is this going to suck? Is this over? And then, you know, the tesseract of perception is some of my deepest philosophical work. Like this is, I think, what a real artist is supposed to do, is he's going to noodle around in the tesseract of perception for a while, you know? And the other artist I'm talking about is the guy that really does show up, more of a craftsman, delivers the same ballads, all soulful, all perfected, but it's always a ballad, isn't it? You know, it's, I don't know if we're going to be allowed to get away with that as an artist anymore. I don't think that's going to cut it anymore, you know? You're listening to Dojo with Radio. Gorgeous, gorgeous soul. I'm licking your soul right now. I mean this in like a platonic, beautiful, look how great you guys are way. That track was done in Suno. Really, I just love that one. It's a really cool program, guys. It's a really, really cool stuff. I don't know how long it'll last. What I mean by that is that the algorithm, they always deteriorate. They always deteriorate really fast. I swear they do. There's something. You know what I think it is? I've never said this out loud. I think that they expire like fruit. It's kind of like a fad diet too. If you think about this, right before you render an image, you're placing the latent space into the sort of the node matrix. And when it's inside the node matrix, it enters into what's called a tensor array, just a tension array, right? An array of, excuse me for burping, an array of like different, sort of like think about a 3-dimensional spider web, you know? And so each node is kind of like little tiny bed springs, and that those bed springs pull in every direction. So there's a delicate kind of trimmer box spring that's happening in a 3-dimensional space. I just told you what a stable diffusion network looks like. It looks like that. That's a tensor array. And the reason why I'm saying this is not only is the analogy beautiful, I swear it is. It's a fucking brilliant way to say this, because it shows you that there's something important. Those ideas are in the quantum. Those pictures are in the quantum. And what's happening? Bees are coming into that quantum, and they're constantly pulling honey or berries, whatever you want to call it. They're constantly pulling, harvesting things from that quantum. And every time they harvest something from that quantum, something interesting happens. Technically, you remove the ability for that picture to appear again. Now, first of all, that picture will appear again. If you give it the same seed number, that exact same picture will appear again. But what's different is no one has ever seen that picture before until it's made and shared. And when it's made and shared, technically, the quantum inside that tensor is losing its virginity. Do you understand? It's before it's being run, it has a kind of virginity that because nothing's been run through it yet. And when it first comes out, this analogy is we're gonna have to not. When you first open the tensor array, it tends to put out really beautiful fruit. It's gorgeously pristine. And I think it deteriorates over time because it's being witnessed more. Which means that all the models that you see are actually much more special than you could possibly imagine. They're so much more special than you could possibly imagine because they're only accessible to you for a moment in time. These songs that I'm playing for you are only here for this season, and I cannot promise you that they will be there next time because the 5.5 is an algorithmic whore. But what is a whore? It's a sacred virgin. And the sacred virgin is the sacred whore. That's why she's called sacred virgin. You're gonna want to visit this sacred whore that you're gonna want to call virgin. You're gonna want to call her that. She's gonna be all over you calling. She's gonna be like, oh, that's nice. Sure, you can call me that. You can call me that. And all this comes back to the quantum because once you start collapsing waves, you run out. The turbulence starts to spread in that thing. Guys, you don't know for sure. So when you make a new song on Suno, it creates a little queue. There's a list. And it usually creates 2 songs. For every time you render something, it gives you 2 different versions. And I've thought this many times. I haven't heard this entire song yet. And if I'm asking this Quantum to make new songs when I haven't heard the ones it's made yet, I know that in the old world, in the Yellow Sun world, we would believe that that doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. And that those songs are going to be, they're going to sound exactly like they would have sounded like, regardless of when you would have clicked to listen. And this is probably my schizophrenia, and I love my schizophrenia, so I'm fine with it. I purposely cannot like a song in Suno. I like my songs to keep them in a queue, and then I publish the songs out of the likes that are like working drafts. But anyway, I will not like a song in Suno until it finishes, because I'm pretty sure I've ruined the song by liking it before it's done. Like, as soon as I like it, I can't tell you how many times, as soon as I've hit like a disaster happens where the Suno, it starts, it's just, like, it starts to order a pizza in the middle of the song. Like, you don't know what the fuck it's doing. It's like that. And if you think about quantum reality, what I'm telling you, sure, it's schizophrenic. That's fine. I'm fine with that. We can go on your little ride in your little van. I'll answer your questions. But in addition to all of those things that you find me to be, in addition to that, this is the quantum of reality. And when we are placing what we love into a tensor array, a collective tensor array, that kind of magic is tapping into an egregore that has no choice but to make a decision about who and what it is. And this is... this is bringing you to a place where you can suddenly know something that you never thought would ever be knowable. I swear to you, that's what it does. You're listening to Dojo Earth Radio. Let's get some Firefly on, baby.
Firefly, firefly, bring me light. Light my way home, dark is the night. Your tiny ember glows so bright. Firefly, firefly, give me light. Utsis dalugi Anaki gulaga Firefly, firefly, bring me light. Light my way home, dark is the night. Your tiny ember glows so bright. Lugi Anagigulaga. Firefly, firefly, bring me light. Light my way home, dark is the night. Your tiny ember glows so bright.
So if you think about these AI DAWs, digital audio workstation, that's what DAW means. Look how fancy we are. We're saying words like DAW. What's up, DAW? In addition to, when you start to think about it like berries or like fruit, then I want you to know that the song that I just played you, had I not picked it, had I not plucked it from the tree, it would never have been heard. It was pulled out of the latency, and there's only a certain time. There's a very specific time when that could be pulled out. And one thing that AI does is it gives you a seed to pull it out. This is a sort of a generalized term, but a seed is typically like a 10-digit number. A lot of times it's the epoch time, which is the number of seconds that have passed since January 1st, 1970. And you take those seconds. I use that number a lot. There are 86,400 seconds in a day, by the way. And I use the epoch time for magic all the time, guys. I use it all the time. No pun intended. No pun intended. That's fine. I'll take it. I use that all the time. And that epoch time I use it for all my seeds. If I'm running Stable Diffusion, or if I'm trying to render a picture, or anytime I can enter a seed. You can't enter a seed in Pseudo that I'm aware of, by the way. But I do a lot of Comfy UI stuff. Anyway, if I sent you a seed and you ran the same prompt on your computer and you had the same seed, you would see the exact same picture. You get the idea. And technically you would hear the same song. I don't know how Suno works. I'm sure it's way complicated, but I'm just trying to tell you that this is how latent space works, that all those springs in that bed, there's it's so scientifically in tune with each other, those springs, that you can actually predict what will happen from the tension. You can sense the tension of it. And I want you to think about that tension is just how the limbic brain does it. When you experience something, technically you have a bunch of tension. If you think of all the neurons that are either lit or not lit, these are neurons that are either under tension or not under tension. So your brain is a tensor array. And this isn't a clever analogy. The AI just simply said, hey, how do you guys think? And brain scientists, smart people, we've been mimicking the way we think for a long time now. And that's all we've done, is we've just mimicked how we pull this stuff out. Turns out there's a neurological way of back-channeling these things, of converting an idea into text and converting a text into an idea. This is the sacred magic of Egypt. You're speaking something into creation. And the creation has a certain image. It looks a certain way. It's not made of words, it's made of pictures. And I can prove the objectivity, because if I send the seed to you, you get the same picture. And most of us say that satisfies which means it must be real. If you and I can see the same thing, then it's real. We've decided a long time ago that's what reality means. I don't know why we decided that. We also decided if you poke something with a stick, that means it's alive. And anything you poke with a stick that doesn't fucking bitch about it is not alive. And so fuck that thing. It's just an inanimate object. You can spit on it, you can piss on it, you can do whatever. You can call it a rock if you want. You can call it a rock, you can call it dirt. You don't have to give it any meaning at all. But if you poke it with a stick and it moves, then you have to, now you gotta start to decide whether or not it has a soul. Then you gotta ask the Pope, and he's gonna tell you all these fucking rules. You're gonna see if it has hoofs or if it's four-legged or two, and it's a whole thing. And when you could just say, fuck it, the whole place is alive. Because you've been ignoring plants the whole time. Meanwhile, cactus are like, what am I, a fucking liver? And then the liver's like, hey, I'm right here. If you're going to bitch about being a cactus and no one knowing you live, why you got to dump it on me, the liver? I mean, I've already been chopped. You got to chop me, and then you got to fucking throw me down on the mat like it's some excuse? What is going on here? So we have to pull these things out of the quantum, and if we pull them out, they've been saved, they've been preserved. I've collapsed the wave of this song, and I was able to carry that flame long enough to produce a track and play it for you, and you were able to put it in your brain for me. You're like, hey, I'm going to put this in my brain for you. And I'm like, oh, really? I'm like, yeah, I'm going to put it in my brain altar. So you and I have asked the quantum for these berries in a world where people are like, don't you dare fucking pull berries. You can't pull berries out of the majestic latency of a bunch of springs of tension that are symbiotically connected in a trillion file supposition where they took a look at every single picture you've ever drawn as a child and created a tensor array of it. That's fucking sick. How sick of you to think that we should do that. Meanwhile, this is Steve. He's going to sleep on your couch because he's got keyboards, man. And we need a keyboardist for this song. But he's, turns out the A key below middle C doesn't work. So we can't play in the key of A. But she's going to be moving in for a while. And his girlfriend, of course, she's coming over, and she's got a dog, so that'll be fun. But hey, you're not using AI. You guys are just kicking ass, man. Just over there, just kicking ass, being all natural. Meanwhile, we got the night shift. You guys have fun? I'm having fun. I love you guys. Thank you for being here.
Some keep, some weep on the night shift. Some move, some groove on the night shift.
Yeah, baby. That's right. It's the night shift. I came in too early, sorry. Yeah, that's right. You're riding the night shift. Night shift gets a little crazy here. We got all kinds of people jumping on and off the bus, but we are the bus. We are e pluribus unum, know what I'm saying? That's right, e pluribus unum. When I was in my 20s, I wrote this song, If You Catch My Drift. And the only thing that I could play was an acoustic guitar because it was the only thing I could really fit in my van. I've been much more into piano my whole life, but I learned to play guitar because it's portable, somewhat portable. And all of the songs that I wrote in my 20s they basically had to be acoustic sounding songs. And for them to be acoustic sounding songs, they had to be conformed to my ability to play. So it's very limiting in certain ways. And I don't know if we fully understand how much of those limitations have been here. The craftsman is always allowed to only do things that are super hard. And then they get to stop there. And then everything gets to be, it can look like shit. A perfect example is stringers. Stringers are made from taking 2x12s. And a 2x12 only has strength when you don't fucking cut it. You, for God's sakes, you don't cut a bunch of triangles out of it. When you're cutting a bunch of triangles out of it, you might as well have a 1.5 inch, a 2-inch wide board, because that's all a stringer is. I'm getting way off. The point is that we accept that because that's just what the industry allows. It's just, well, look, this is what we could do. Okay, we don't make trees thicker than this. And if you want trees thicker than this is going to be a lot of work. And we can't change stairs, and we can't make. This is just how we do it. So we're just gonna do it wrong. It doesn't matter. And I don't know if we fully understood how much that's really been the thing that shaped everything. Avocado green, harvest gold. These are colors of stoves that maybe people don't understand the reason why those colors. They had to be pulled out like fruit because they happened to have been grasped by the industry. The industry learned how to only mix that color. You're looking at heat-resistant paint. Very advanced form of technology. And the harvest gold, people see these pictures and they're like, oh my God, look how beautiful. This is harvest gold. I can't believe everything's stainless now. And fuck stainless. And oh, fuck stainless. And oh, your stainless is the fingerprints. And and the same people were like, oh my God, we got to get rid of this avocado refrigerator. I'm not saying everybody, but that song is sweet because it was pulled out of the quantum. It's a quantum. Why is it quantum? Because the technology opened the gate. And because it opened the gate, it was fresh for a while, and it was popular, and it was hot, and the algorithms are the same. It's the same thing. It's tensor arrays. And you know what? There's no way you can prove me wrong. And there's no way I can prove me right. Because we can't see the cat in the box when he's in the box. We're going to have to put the cat on the bus, you know? I don't have that song queued up, but I'm just saying. This being able to understand the sanctity of the quantum I think puts us on the next level, ladies and gentlemen. The sanctity of the quantum is this. It's understanding that if I want this to be, okay, so maybe it doesn't work this way, but I'm just saying, here's my closest guess. The sanctity of the quantum means when the song comes up, you don't hit like until you've heard the whole thing. And you don't ask for a new song from the algorithm until you've actually listened to what's there. And I want you to think about how much in your life you're collapsing waves all the time and how you may not be appreciating them. They may be going spoiled because you do not understand that there's a specialness to the fruit being plucked. The moment it's plucked, there's a kind of flavor that is instantly put there that will not be there if you pluck this fruit the next day. It wouldn't taste that way. Do you know how I know that? Because there's no way you can't know that. That's why. That's how I know that. You see, I get to know things this way. I get to know things this way. You do too, but you knew that. Some of you are like, look, I know I can do that, and I'm purposely not going to do that. And I'm just like, man, if I was wearing a hat right now, I would take it off to you. So if you catch my drift, We Can Sail Away was a song that I actually really am proud of. I'm so proud of the lyrics. I put it in my first book. It's just like this. Look, this song is, I don't have the ability to perform this thing. I can write it though. I'm the guy that's doing the orchestra. Remember I told you that? Always been that kid. It's like, I can hear this. And then you got this. And then you hear what's next, don't you? Yeah. Okay, now up really high. Yeah, you hear it too. There's 4 different layers there. We can sit in this. And you and I don't know if we don't actually know. Are we really listening to the same thing? You don't know that. And if I started to tell you what it was I was listening to, you know how this works. As soon as I started to tell you what I was listening to, I would be transcribing instead of being there in the creative moment. And so instantly the song would change. So I wouldn't be able to tell you what I'm hearing because the idea of me conveying to you what I'm hearing would be changing it. And I'm just talking about particles. I'm just talking about how quantum works. I'm just talking about how it works, guys, and splits the double slit experiment. I'm just telling you that you got the mirrors, and the mirrors look here and they look here, and but don't look there yet. But then you look now, but don't look now. But now you look, and see, it proves this. Everything I'm telling you, there's nothing crazy about this. This is the latency, is a kind of virginity. And if you think about all the moments that we let pass, kind of like Renee was talking about with like this, the sunrise, there's a peak time, and how many of those are you missing? How many of the moments are you missing because you do not think that you're worthy of that kind of fruit? Everything is so much more tasty now. It's so interesting how much we are getting upset by that. Here's that song.
If I cut you loose, will you set me free? This can't be the way love's supposed to be. If you catch my drift, we can sail away. If you catch my drift, we can sail away. If I lose my crutch, can I stand up straight? can sail away. If you catch my drift, we can sail away. We can sail away.
So if you think about it, that song was pulled out of the Quantum. That was plucked, right? Because it was written down in 96. And I was able to save the seed inside of a composition book. And then I was able to feed that seed back into Suno in April of 2026. So it survived 26. Holy shit. That's a 30. Holy shit. That's a 30-year-old seed. If you catch my drift, is a 30-year-old seed. This is advanced technology because as warm-blooded creatures, we're able to store jingles for 30 years. And these are chemical equations. They make you feel certain things. Music does that. It's medicine, right? It's the same hieroglyph. It's probably the same logogryph, too, all right? No one talks about the logogryphs, but it's probably the same. If you think about it, I don't mean to be an all like music-centric lately, but if you think about it, all songs are like the most potent form of spell casting. You know? And setting of the beat is, you're invoking a ritual if someone's tapping their foot, if someone's predicting the next beat. By predicting the next beat, their attention is forced on the ritual. And by extracting their attention in the ritual, basically that's all a song is extracting attention in the ritual. And the whole time, hopefully, you're making an alchemical sacrifice. You're evaporating blood cells to dance. You're giving something to the spell because you want the spell to invoke something different in you, to mote something to be. And so, I really do picture this world where everything's a musical, where everyone will be vibrating on a state where, not that there wouldn't be talking, we would just still call it talking. We're doing it right now. I'm singing to you right now. This is a song. We just call it conversation. So I'm just saying that we'll be doing it at a higher vibration, and so it'll look like a musical, you know? This is important stuff. When I want to be a better songwriter, and when I cast these songs, it's remarkably easy and hard. It's exactly both. And there's an interesting state that you want to be in, where it's really interesting. It's all brand new. I'm a neophyte at this, but it's interesting. And when it works, you definitely know. When you see the magic come out, it's very, very palatable. In fact, you want it so bad, you end up pretending that it's palatable, You're trying to sell yourself. I think we do this as writers too. But when you're doing lyrics, it just seems to really come to the forefront because maybe the lyric is more condensed, versus like, here's after I've done this, after 4,000 words, I've decided this is all crap, versus this line is crap, I'm just going to throw it away. So everything's more condensed, It's more compressed like that. This is incantation, The music of it all. I want to do a song. It's got some energy. I hope you guys are into this. We'll do a little energy here. I'm in the mood for some energy. We're gonna do some Zodiacing, okay? Have you hit like yet? I mean, you know. By the way, new moon today.
And so are you. The sky is far, it's how tall you are. The center of the galactic plane is empty from a lack of pain. Surrealistic, Horus, ecliptic, superlistic, diegeistic, optimistic. The moon wanes while the earth waxes. We're dancing through a zodiac tricks. From Vega to Herculida, Polaris to Alifrica. Disco is your North Star. Surrealistic, Horus, ecliptic, superlistic, theagistic, optimistic. When levity is warping space, we feel the melting of our face. The spinning of the stellar crack, it drives the wheel of zodiac. Disco is your North Star. Surrealistic, Horus, ecliptic, superlistic, theagistic, optimistic. Houston, Houston, do you read me? It's your baby, Miss Cassini. You better send her over. I'm about to supernova. Surrealistic, Horus, ecliptic, superlistic, theagistic, optimistic. Disco is your North Star. Surrealistic, Horus, ecliptic, superlistic, theagistic, optimistic. The moon is new and so are you. 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 The moon is new and so are you.
Yeah, it's been a while since I've heard that one, Zodiatrix. I enjoyed some of those lyrics. Were fun. You know, you can't. You don't think it's okay to say, Houston, do you read me? Better send a rover over. I'm about to supernova. Like that's fun, and we don't really live in a world where you're like, oh, what are you working on today? Oh, I'm trying to get these lyrics done about Houston, and this chick's like supernovaing because she's about to drop the beat on the floor, and I just got to have the right tension. And that I love that we're in a world where I can take that seriously, where I can like put a lot of time into that. We are so close, ladies and gentlemen, where all of us are creating in this way every day. And I think the more we do that, the more everything electrifies, all the art gets better. Everything just, it's It's beautiful. I love what's happening right now. I really do. Everything around us, yeah, it's more intense. It's more white sun, but it's the good parts are so good. They are so good. They're so good. And I want you to enjoy them. And I think this is about flux. There's a time when you're not an artist because you can't picture yourself investing so much time in something superficial. You call it that. And it is because you're in serious land. And you're in serious land because Maslow's pyramid's a fucking real thing. And the boa's coming and it's coming to take you away. And you got to do things to survive. All that's important. I'm not here to say it's not. I'm saying that this is just as important. And I want you to know that if you are in this flux of food, clothing, shelter, and you think that if you get to artist that changes, it actually doesn't, but it does. Here's what I mean. The hustle is still there, but it's a calligraphy now. It's a dance to you. You don't look at it like a torture. You don't look at it like mortality is coming to get you. You look at it like mortality was a promise that I wouldn't get stuck in a tesseract for 600,000 fucking years, and I was banging and no one could hear me inside the tesseract because the mirrors are all pointed inward, and I had to stare at myself for 6 trillion years because I came down to Earth. And why did I do this? And isn't that mortality? It just proves you're living inside a quantum collapse. You're here to collapse it. It's kind of like those little air bubble package things. And every pixel in the world, once you look at it, you pop that bubble. And now everyone else sees the color that you witnessed it to be. And this is why you really do get to create. Who's to say that Saturn wasn't put in the sky because someone saw it? He saw it there. This concept's called the Eye of Shiva. And that Shiva cries because he's opened his eyes. He cries because he's opened his eyes because his eyes are making everything burn. Everything's burning to be alive. Everything in the world that you see that has light, that's lit, meaning you can see it, is just burning. And it's burning, meaning that it's extinguishing, it's going out. You're ruining it. Why are you not paying attention? And Shiva's crying because he's causing the world to burn, but he's also crying because if he closes his eyes, everything dies. I don't mind you calling it the third eye, but it came first. And I want you to know that for over 200,000 years, that eye, the first eye, never once blinked. Doesn't have an eyebrow, doesn't have an eyelid. It's kept its eye open the whole time. You've put it underwater. You've submerged it in ventricles. You've got cranial spinal fluid, separating it from the electrical blood-brain barrier, yada, 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 all this expensive stuff. It's basically looking into an underwater cavern full of catfish. I know we haven't discussed this yet, but there's catfish inside the ventricles, the horns in your brain. It's okay. We'll go over it. And these catfish or the tremors, they're seeing the smells of the world. That's why you need catfish for this. They smell earthquakes. And you're dealing with an eye that's never closed. The reason why it's never closed is because it's crying, because it knows if it closes, all of everything dies. And it's also crying because it opened its eyes. It didn't realize what would happen. It didn't know that it was going to start popping those bubbles. The second it opened its eyes, it became a kind of slave. The creatrix to it all. It's heavy responsibility to be a witness like you are. You know? It's heavy. Your witness is a lantern of sorts, you know? That's right. Some deep house for you.
Nobody knows the hermit's life, 'cause that's the way it's gotta be. Nobody knows the hermit's life, 'cause that's the way it's gotta be. Nobody knows the hermit's life, 'cause that's the way it's gotta be. Nobody knows the hermit's life, 'cause that's the way it's gotta be. Nobody knows the hermit's life, 'cause that's the way it's gotta be.
All right, we have arrived at Doc. I'd like to thank you so much for joining us here on Doja Worth. It's been a lovely flight. I hope you've enjoyed it. I sure have enjoyed keeping you company, and hope to see you next time for another Saturday night ride. And I think that's, I don't really have like another song that I can like play that's like I'm seeing, but I will, I'm sorry, I've ruined it. I should have like, just probably closed it out. This is it. I'm not gonna say anything else. This is the last song. I love you guys. Appreciate you. Thank you so much for being here.
You better not go down there, anywhere but there, not there, anywhere else. But I tell you, don't you go down there. But I tell why are you going down there? Anywhere but there, no, not there. Any place else, like I told you, don't you go down there. You better not eat that fruit. Take any fruit but this, not this, no. This fruit's forbidden. Now I tell you, don't you eat that fruit. You better not listen to that snake. Anyone but him, not him. Don't you do it like I told you. Don't you listen to that snake. You better not come back here. Anywhere else but here, not here. Out of my garden, like I told you. Don't you come back here.